All right, guys. So welcome to the Pawncast, episode 3, where we interview entrepreneurs and business owners and dive deep into their minds and see what we can dig out. So I'm your host, Redbeard. This is my co-host, Hermes. Special guest today is Michael Buchanan. So let's see what we can find.
All right, let's do it.
So first question: if you could be any piece on a chessboard, what would it be? If you were to compare yourself to a piece on a chessboard, what would it be and why?
So I had to look this up because I don't play a ridiculous amount of chess, obviously. But looking into it, all those pieces, their levels. I like the look of what a rook would be, the tower, the castle. Reading into it a little bit, it moves very quick, laterally, vertical, or horizontally, side to side. It could get hung up with another piece because it can't jump anything, but eventually it'll work its way through that. And then it also wrestles around with the king rather often throughout most games that I read into, of towards the end, making it way up to that point. So that's a piece I chose in that case because I don't want to be a pawn. Yeah, I like that one. That one stood out to me. A lot of strength and speed to it, which I felt kind of connected with my lifestyle and my family's lifestyles in that case, and my business in that case.
That's badass. That's badass. Can I ask, since you said you don't want to be a pawn, can I just ask out of curiosity why? Like, what are your thoughts on the pawn?
I thought back to earlier stages of my life and the position I was put in several times, working for different people, where I felt like I was a very easy, movable pawn that I could be sacrificed rather easily and maybe even taken advantage of. And that's why I didn't want to be a pawn initially, because I don't like when people take advantage of other people, things like that.
Definitely, understandable. This could be a good one, boys. Let's see. He's set. Fuck a pawn.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So.
Hell yeah. All right, dude. So essentially, we've created here on the Pawncast. Our goal is to kind of change your mind and your thinking about the pawn. That's kind of the premise and kind of concept behind the whole thing. We call it the pawn mentality.
Right.
And what the pawn mentality is essentially, we believe that we're all pawns in our own game. So let's say you have a game of chess, so you play your own game, I play my own game, Hermes plays his own game, Connor plays his own game. Everybody plays their own game. Emilio's playing his game. Just watch out for your queens. But basically, one of the big reasons we decided, that we were all pawns is pawns are really cool. And if you don't understand the game of chess, I totally understand. You don't play all the time, you know what I mean? You don't know everything about the game. But what a pawn does, if you look at it from a simplistic level, is a pawn moves you can only move one step at a time, right? But a pawn can never go backwards. It can't move to the side. It can only move forwards.
Makes sense.
Okay? And I mean, like I say, since you don't know a whole ton about chess, that's all right.
Yeah.
But a pawn is also the only piece on the board that if you get from one end of the board to the other end of the board, you get to do what's called promoting, and you get to pick whatever piece you want to become. Okay? So in the game of chess, everything has a rating. So a queen is worth like 9 points, a bishop is worth 5, or rook is worth 5 points, a bishop and knight are worth like 3 points, pawn's worth 1 point. Okay? So the cool thing about being a pawn, and our goal is on the Pawncast, is get you to understand the pawn mentality and maybe change your mind. So as we go through this interview, kind of think of ways that you can put yourself in the position of being a pawn. Okay? So being a pawn, you're always moving forward one step at a time. You constantly get help from other pawns or other pieces who are in a better position than yourself, so a higher rank, right? So in life, you're constantly seeking mentorship, or you're getting advice from a parent or somebody who's older a lot of the time, somebody maybe a little bit wiser. And then again, like I said, so you constantly, and then by dealing with lots of trials and tribulations and dealing with all these problems and all these things happening on the board and getting help, you can sometimes make it to the end of the board and then become whatever piece you want to become. So you could become a rook, you could become a bishop, a knight. Most of the time you're going to go ahead and promote to a queen because it's the most powerful piece on the board as far as which ways it can move, and you usually end the game that way. Also, a lot of the time in high-level chess games, there's usually 2 or 3 pawns left on the board. So a lot of the times a pawn will make it to the end, at least 1, 2 will make it to the end of the game. Now, in life, not every pawn is meant to make it, right? Not every person becomes some successful business owner, right? It just is what it is. So again, we're relatable to a pawn in that sense. So kind of our goal, and like I say, as we start to ask questions and kind of dive into your mind and just think about, okay, you mean I'm a rook at the beginning, and maybe by the end, we'll change your mind, and maybe he'll be a pawn.
I like it. It's good.
So let's do it, man. Let's get into it, and let's see what it's all about.
All right. So what business do you own?
All right, so I own Michael Buchanan Real Estate. It's brokered out of Realty One. Been in business for 9 years at this time, and I've been through a couple different brokerages, and it's been quite the journey all the way through it. So but it's real estate based with investments worked into it, and I've worked with some other individuals on wholesales and things like that as well. So, but mostly residential and commercial sales, some vacant land worked into that.
Okay.
So what got you into real estate?
So a little backstory. I mean, Gary knows me obviously. He's been around the block with me a couple times. But the big flip was I got married in 2014. My wife's a nurse, and I was a deputy sheriff in Mojave County at that time actually. So I'd be on nights, she'd be on weekends, holidays. I'd be working Thanksgiving, she'd be on Christmas. We're like, this is just. This isn't for family. Like, this isn't gonna work, and it's not gonna really jive with the way we want to raise our family and project our lives. So in that case, I always had a good little niche for real estate. And I'm like, that always, bought a couple houses already at this time. We were pretty young. We were less than, I think we were like 20, 21 right there at that time. We got married earlier than that, but what am I getting at there? I met with my real estate agent eventually. I'm like, hey, think about getting into the real estate game. Would you recommend it? And so we went into it. I'm like, is there a salary? She's like, no, it's all commission based, 100%. Like, you don't get any, like, nothing at all. Like, it's only what you earn. And at that time, we had to make a really tough decision on if I was going to pull the trigger and get into real estate, where the average agent won't close their first deal up to 4 to 6 months. Once they get their traction going. And I was a cop for a good while, but before that, I went to a 19-week police academy, where I was down in Phoenix for 19 weeks straight, only home on weekends. So this was another big transition jump I was going to have to do. But at the end of the day, we're like, well, we're going to look at the bigger picture down the road, and this is the road I'd like to take for myself, and then for my family, for my future and my family's future. So that's a whole nutshell of how I kind of got into real estate, rather simply.
So essentially, you bought your first house. What was your first house you bought?
So first one, I'm gonna wrap my wife in this because we've been a team ever since the very beginning.
Okay, hold on. So let's go back a little bit further then. Let's go into like fresh out of high school. Because I already know that's kind of about where it started. So let's start there.
Perfect.
And then we'll progress into real estate and kind of ask yourself those questions.
Yeah, that's great. So right out of high school.
Yep.
Met my wife, went to the other school here in Kingman, Arizona. Never really got to know her, kind of saw her around town. I went to the main high school, I'd like to say. And funny enough, we came together, started dating, got pretty serious, took off up to NAU. That's a good one to bring in.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I got my associates in engineering, got through my physics and chemistry and calculus and all this crazy shit. And then I'm like, this sucks, dude. Like, this was the point in my life that kind of actually started turning, that I just didn't want to be the standard person in life where you go through school and get your $80,000 to $100,000 in debt.
Speaking of debt, did you get like a loan?
My parents did actually help me get a loan. I came out, I got some scholarships, and I think I came out like 25, 30 grand in debt, all said and done. And that was only with associates, so you got to get your bachelor's to even be able to apply for a job or something like that. But coming out of high school, meeting my wife, which was just my girlfriend at that time, I didn't know if I really wanted to be an engineer with that. It sounded good. It looks good on paper. It's what people tell you to do, right? Like, you got to go to school,
It's like
get
cookie cutter.
yeah,
you
get
know?
scholarships,
Yeah.
and then
I'm
bam, you
following
go make
the
150
Yeah.
grand a year. You
Yeah.
know, back then that was really good money.
Mhm.
Which that's all. Like if you can ride that out and just want to live that lifestyle, and just like that could really blossom into something. You know, but at that time I was still young and I was very darty. Like I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I ended up getting out of there. My wife actually left as well, but she finished her bachelor's through a different college, which is no big deal online. Got back here. That pushed me into diesel mechanic work. Always been really hands-on, as Garrett would know as well. Roadside service, doing tires, doing engines, doing turbos, doing transmissions, drive lines, third members. And I was like, this is not that fun either.
You were on call, right?
I was on call nights, but nights, weekends, and then just dirty, man. Like your hands were calluses, that just dirt stuck into them, which is, there's a difference between having a hobby of working on your car and then doing that full time as a living. So that makes it a little more difficult. So I got through that, and that's when I left Aiden. And I'm like, hey dude, I'm gonna go be a corrections officer at the jail.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was a DO for a hot minute. That was the gayest thing I ever did. Looking at dudes all day. So,
literally.
It was. No, it was alright, but it was just still, you got a morning shift, a swing shift, and a night shift, right? So you're getting pushed around everywhere, just like
no real schedule.
No real schedule. You're getting rotated. You're on weekends and holidays, and everything else. So I'm like, well, the streets have to be a little better than that. They only work 410s. At least it's not 5/8s, or 6/8s. So I'm like, shoot, I'm going to the police academy, and that's kind of where we drew that line of like, that's right when I got married, is right when that all kind of came together. Everything I did gave us a really nice lifestyle up to that point. And that's about when we bought our first house. It was before I even took off to the police academy.
Okay.
So our first house was actually through my wife's name, and we bought a little $50,000 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1-car garage.
You guys married?
Engaged
Okay.
at that time. The house payment was $350. Might have been a tad bit less than that on the first house.
I missed that.
Isn't that unreal?
Yeah.
Like, and that was 2012, 10, 11. So right there, 10 or 11.
Well,
11, 12. It was probably 12.
Probably 12.
It sounds like 12.
Probably 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12, something like that.
So that was kind of my first real estate venture, and I went damn well. The market was crap for the most part. Not for buyers. We did great on our houses at that time.
Yeah, well, that was right after the 2008 crash, right?
Yeah.
So 2008 crash.
This was not a foreclosure, but it's just where the market was. The market was saturated in foreclosures. So your average person that wanted to sell, I mean, they were just getting pennies on the dollar, comparable wise, because that's everything that was selling in the area. So she ended up giving us like $5,000 towards our closing costs, and the house still appraised low, like $3,000. But she loved my wife and I. She's like, oh my god, I guess I'll do it. So that's how we got in our first house that time. Yep.
So I would guess that's kind of what set the bug, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Like it's just the investment, the opportunity, the ability to own your own property no matter what. You know, it's yours. You do whatever you want with it, rather than paying rent to someone or building someone else's empire to an extent.
$300 a month?
Yeah.
Yes. Like, sign me up. Can I buy 10 of them?
Can't hear nothing of that nowadays. It's crazy. You can't get a room
Man,
for
could you
that.
imagine, dude?
No.
Could you imagine having $300? Like, dude, I'd have 100 of them.
Yeah. Eat that if we were in that position at that age of our lives, right?
Yeah.
Had enough money put down.
Great.
Yeah. So that's after that. Once we got in that house, that's when I went through that 19 unit police academy down in Leah, which is the Phoenix Police Academy. And that was crazy, but 19 weeks, pushed through it, got it done, got on the streets, got through FTO, and I was doing that for about 3.5 years.
He was a terrible cop.
I was the best guy.
Terrible.
I was not friendly. I was a sociable cop. That's what I would call it.
Yeah, he wasn't the one that pulled you over and you're like, fuck.
Nah, it was good. I was a neighbor policeman. I was the dick out there on the highway, just like, oh, ticket. No, it was good. It was actually not a terrible job. You know, in hindsight, like it was pretty decent paid time off. I got like 25 hours per pay period, or what the hell was it? A month, 25 hours a month, whatever the heck it was. Paid time off. Like by the time you worked a couple months, you had enough to take 2 weeks off practically. So it wasn't too bad.
Pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
but
cool.
you know, the pay wasn't as good as like DPS and KPD for the county, which was kind of a determining factor when I left. But it was 410s. When you were off, you were off.
Yeah.
Nights weren't that bad. Just kind of cruise around town, hang out with your cop buddies all night. But then it takes a toll once you go on like 10 accidents that are just terrible crap. And you got all these DUIs, all these domestic violences, and at the end of the day, you kind of go home, you can try to decompress, and you're still kind of uptight, you know? And at that time, before police academy, I was working out a whole lot, and then just this, being a cop kind of takes its toll on you. And then you don't want to go better yourself in some way. You just get in a rut, and I wasn't working out, like everything was just kind of like stuck in it, which was good in some ways, and the other ways you start looking, it's like, ugh, I feel like a slug right now, man, you know?
What was it? I mean, because you became a CEO and then you became a cop. What like were you wanted to save all the bad, or you know, catch all the bad guys? Like,
I never wanted to be a cop, to be honest with you, ever. Like, I never had that, like, oh, I'm gonna be a cop when I'm older type mentality at all. Although I've never been in trouble, like I've never had a speeding ticket, I've never been arrested, I've never done any hard drugs or anything crazy.
Must be nice.
Like, at all. Yeah. So, like, it kind of just kind of fit, like, my personality, and, like, a lot of people did look up to me, and I was always a pretty good role model through high school for the most part, like, trying to do the right thing. So it was just kind of the next step on where I put myself in my life from being a CEO, a DO, and then just going into that. And it was such an easy transition. Like, I'm like, hey, I want to go to police academy. Like, okay. Like, sent me off because I just kind of checked all the boxes of what they were looking for. But man, I was barely 21, and that was still another thing, like being a cop. I didn't have a lot of life experience. I go to these DVs with like these kids. I'm like, I don't know how to fucking raise a kid. Like, how don't you want to yell at your kid? I'm almost their age, you know? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So that was a little bit of a struggle to an extent, but yeah, it was good. It was a good learning experience to be around that and understand that part of life, and then be able to move past it.
So did you quickly just find out, like, once you're a cop, you're like, I don't want to be a cop no more?
You know, I had a lot of higher ups trying to get me to stay, because they're like, you could be good leadership material, like, you know, go up into sergeant, lieutenant, and like, if you get up to those spots, it could be a little more bougie in that case. You know, you get taken care of, you get to go to all the cool dinners, know all the cool people around town, all the firefighters and captains and chiefs and police and chief and everything, you know, a lot of good stuff.
Do you happen to know off the top of your head what somebody like that makes? Maybe?
Then or now? Then?
Then.
So then I was making like 40 grand a year. I think it was like $22 an hour.
As an officer?
Yeah, as an officer.
And then if you were to go down the role of, you know, I'm going to be...
So the sergeants were supposed to top out within like 7 years. Pretty much when we got to patrol, you tapped out. Like, you can make it up to maybe $25, $26 an hour over 7 years.
Okay.
So I get you like 50 grand, maybe a year. So the topped out sergeant was supposed to be like 70, right about there, 65 to 70. LT was going to go to like the 105 to 110 then-ish, and then anything chief and stuff. You're like 120s, 150s, like sheriff and everything else, just depending. Everything's, from what I understand, better than what it was then, but it's hard to say. I think that's tapped out. So like, every time you promote, that's another fresh 5 to 7 years to tap out. So you're starting with the same pay.
This is a lot of time.
A ton of time. So you're thinking like,
years.
This is your career. Like, this is it.
Okay,
you know
so the time I start to the time I'm dead.
Correct.
Now, or not dead, but you know, retirement. I'm 40 and I finally made it to 100 grand.
Yeah, and if people don't know about the Arizona first responders retirement, like, it's crazy, man. Like, they take, when I got in, it was your highest 5 consecutive years. Okay. Yeah. Consecutive years in a row. That would be what they would base your retirement off of, and then you couldn't even touch it without docking it until you're 56. So, and you had to do 25 years, which wasn't too bad, but I'd still only be like 47 at that time when I retired. I'd have to do another 10 years. So you're talking 35 years in law enforcement before you can even touch your retirement or anything like that. Yeah, like, that's a long, like, that's your life.
That's your life.
You know what I mean?
That's
Especially
your
when
life.
you're 22 years old and you're talking going to your 60. Like, I want to go have fun and go do shit I want to do at that time.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You know, but that's a public servant, right? Yeah. So you're really got to be looking out for the people more than yourself in that case. Okay. And I was starting to look out for myself a little more.
Yeah.
So,
fair enough. Yeah, fair
while I was still copped up, bought my house, made our first house into a rental, got ourselves in a pretty dang good deal as well. It was in a good neighborhood, larger corner, like 0.3 acres. Needed some love, put a ton of money and time into it. It turned out really nice. Should have kept it, ended up selling it.
That's
Real estate advice: keep your houses.
Don't sell anything. I tell it to people all the time. Don't sell shit. If you got houses, don't sell them. You know, period. End of discussion.
That was another really good transaction, and we used the same real estate agent both times. So, like, once you get good rapport with someone, like, you're gonna keep going back to them real estate wise. And that's the older lady. She's 60 when I did 62 when I talked with her. That's all she did her whole life. She was involved in a lot of Rotary and other things in town. But yeah, that was kind of the person I initially talked to when I went to go get into real estate. So yeah, I went straight from being a cop straight into real estate in that case.
And how long did you say the school was for real estate?
Shit, it's not that long. What was it? It was a solid 2 weeks of like 8-hour days. And then you had to pass a school test, which it's harder than what the state and national test actually was. And that took me like 2 or 3 times. I can't remember, maybe 3 worst case. And then I passed the nationals the first time, and I think it took me 2 times to get my state. So I was done within a month of real estate school.
Really?
For the most, yeah. For the most part. But then you got, you know, $1,200 in association fees, $1,000 in AR fees, and then Wardex fees, and all these other things that you. Like, shit, no one told me about this. When you get out, you got to drop another $5,000 just to get started in real estate. But the real kind of sparking moment, I almost forgot about this. When I was at Starbucks talking with our first real estate agent, I was asking all those questions. You know, salary, this, that. It's okay, but you just got to make your own way, right? It's like, you know, who you really need to talk to is that guy over there. Who's that guy? So I'm going to introduce you. So she walks me over there, introduces me, and it was the guy I ended up going to work for, Scout Lander, with the Lander team. I can drop names, right?
Yeah. I think we're gonna see if we can get him on here.
That's not bad.
I think
We'll go into a little more of him later with another question.
Okay.
But yeah, he's like, what's your name? What's up? I'm starting a real estate team, this and that. And I'm like, I'm this person, I'm doing this, I'm a cop right now. I'm just like young little gun guy, right? He's like, dude, you come work for me, I'll double your salary. Like the first year you come work for me. Promise you. These fees to get hired on and to do all this stuff real estate wise, I'll cover you. Your first deal will cover all of it. He's like, you come work for me, I will double your income your first year.
And this is from, the only reason you met him was because you're old lady real estate.
Only reason happened to be at Starbucks that day when I walked in. So
the stars aligned right there.
when my wife and I talked about, holy shit, that can't happen every single day. Like, you know, and then I started looking him up online a little bit. Very heavy top producer for our Mojave County area. And I'm like, well, this guy seems like the real deal. And no shit, I was his first person on his team. For the most part, he had an assistant, but the first full-time person that joined his team to sell real estate side by side with him in that case.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought you were pretty.
He had
pretty
a really
close, but I couldn't
full-time assistant. And then when he was at Remax before he went to KW, he had Ashley Van Vliet, which she was part-time agent more so. She had kids and still did this. Like, kind of took his overflow, but she wasn't like, she didn't get into the game. She was more of a asked to come help out type thing. I can make you some extra money on the side. But I was the first person he hired on at KW
Like
as an agent.
As an agent.
As an agent.
That's badass.
So is this guy like your mentor essentially, or?
Yeah, so it's exactly what he was. He taught me dude, I went from being a cop, talking on the radio and yelling at people for a living, to like cold calls out of an Outlook email with a phone number and email and like maybe their address, probably not. And he's been doing this for 10 plus years. He's like, here's the county assessor's page, cross-reference their name into the county, you can see where they live now, see if they have any other real estate. I'm like, oh gosh, dude. So I'm in here like, starting just cold calling people, 50, 60, 70 people a day. And yeah, mentor, man, we sat there.
It kind of sounds like he like made you skip like 4 years of training and this kind of
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily at that time.
I feel like that does not happen.
No, so we would sit at his
That's
desk,
pretty
man.
cool.
Big desk. He had one desk. We sat in an office, a little larger than what we're just kind of sitting in right here.
Yeah.
We'd put these chairs up on top of the table, put our laptops there. We'd pretend to be on the phone with each other and script back and forth for hours. We'd have a couple little things we'd turn off in the morning and just start getting the idea of what you should be saying back and forth to these people. Like, hey.
So how's that work? Walk us through a cold call.
Shit. So like if I cold called.
Just so you're gonna cold call me and you wanna call my shit.
Connor, you want a house or no?
No.
Gary, I know your house well. So if I straight up just came across your number, at some point you had signed up on a site or something of that nature, it'd be like, hey, is Gary there? You gotta go back and forth.
Oh, okay, yeah. Speaking.
Role play.
Okay, we're in role play. I'm bad. All right, yeah, speaking.
Hey, Garrett, hey, I saw that you signed up on our site, you know, at some point, looking for homes out here in the Kingman, Arizona area. Are you still looking for a home?
Yes.
Great. Have you purchased any real estate in Arizona in the last, you know, how many years? 3 years?
Nope, never bought a house in Arizona.
Never. All right. Are you local to the area?
I am currently, yes.
Okay.
I live in a hotel.
You work out? Are you working full time out here?
I am working full time.
Good. All right. Well, are you interested in potentially buying a home?
Most definitely. I'm ready to get out of this hotel room. It's driving me nuts.
At that point, I'd do everything in my power to get you in the office, whatever it be. You're gonna make every excuse up. You're gonna be like, I'm working, this, that, and I'm just gonna keep pulling at you like, hey, one way or another, you're gonna meet with me. I'm gonna come to meet you at Starbucks, and we're gonna meet and go over some information. Once you meet 50 to person, your ratio of success of getting them into a home goes up like 50%.
Just by meeting with them.
Just by meeting with them. You're just like, if I just stopped and said, all right, Gary, well, dude, that sounds really good. You said you're off, in a couple weeks or whatever, you got some time then maybe to come in. By the time I'll call you, because like you are thinking now, you're like, oh shit, maybe buy a house. You'll sign up on someone else's site, they'll make a better call than you just did, and they'll get you in their office, and I'll call you back in 2 weeks. Hey dude, how's it going?
Sorry, I already got it.
Yeah, I'm under contract, dude. No, I'm under contract at this house over here. And that happens all the time. So we were going back and forth on scripts.
So you and Scott just practice this?
Rebuttals, whatever it is, like.
So if I'm like, no, I'm not looking for a house.
Right. So, well, have you considered? Are you renting right now?
Yes.
All right. Well, if I could turn your rent, into a mortgage or maybe even less, and get you in a home 0% down, would that interest you?
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Is
my rent going to be less, or is my mortgage going to be less than my rent?
It very well potentially could be, and then I'd walk you through some of the scenarios of, you're paying down your mortgage, and I realistically just got someone in a house that was something that could be a better investment for them a couple years down the road. Even if you wanted to rent it or rent out rooms to your buddies, you could potentially not even have a mortgage at this point. You can sublease anything out at that point. I got a lender right here that would be able to pre-qual you for free with about 20 minutes of your time. Are you interested in attempting to do that?
Yeah.
Are you willing to do that? It's a big thing I would say. Are you willing? Because a lot of people won't say no to I'm willing. Are you willing?
Are you willing? Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of learn how to ask questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that. Are you willing?
And that's a sales. That's a sales thing. Like I've read a lot of books on that too. Like there's ways that you ask questions. You kind of ask like an open-ended question.
And if they say no, they sound like a real dick or something. Something like makes them feel bad at that point, like more bad than there's some people that are just nope. Down, but I'll just call you back tomorrow. So big deal.
That's what I do when they call the barbershop and they're like, "Hey man, you got a house for sale?" I'm like, "Yeah, everything's for sale for the right price." Well, how much you want? I'm like, "How much you got?"
Yeah, how much you got? Well, it's become more competitive out there nowadays. Just with internet and marketing and everything else, it's not quite what it was. That was 9 years ago, I think, at this point, since I've been in real estate. Just about
2024.
Yeah, it's a 15, so we're coming up right on it. So January 15th will be like my 10-year? 9? Somewhere in between. How about this? So,
Okay.
Yeah, so that he was my mentor, like A to B, dude. And he had his business up and going. So I had the team phone in. It's ringing. I'm like, it's ringing. Hello? Oh wait, it's me, Lander Team Mike. How can I help you? Hey, I'm in front of this house. Can I just come see it? Ask a couple questions. You called. You local. You got a job. And no shit. Did you go show it? You understand that? Like, shit, you want to write an offer? Like, what do you think? What do you think? Or do you want to go see a couple more? I got a couple more. I can go show you just to give you an idea of what this one compares to.
Yeah.
Dude, I'd get them wrapped back up, brought back to the office, and we were writing offers.
Really?
Like that quick, yeah. So, the first, I got going a lot quicker than the stats I gave you earlier, but I probably had my first check within 3 months, realistically. They weren't just little, he wasn't just giving me like little, some of the teams you get on, you're going to start with the real low end stuff, right? But I happened just to get it at the right time where I was just giving the full bone. I wasn't giving like little treats. So
I kind of want to go into that a little bit, and this is more kind of like a philosophy, maybe.
Sure. I can keep you highs and lows on it for sure.
Yeah. So like, I believe people who work hard and kind of chase a dream, or kind of you're actively trying to make something happen. You're kind of more lucky, right? You're more lucky than an individual who's constantly negative. So,
sure.
So let's take Scott, right? So you're already, you spent the time, you've taken the risk, you're going, hey, I'm a police officer, I want to become a cop, I got to spend all this money, I got to do this. And you're going to this real estate agent who's already helped you with your first home, where you're with your wife, I guess, right? You guys are a team.
Mm-hmm. So
your wife, and now you guys have purchased another home. Were you talking, so now you're talking to her about buying your home or about becoming a real estate agent? Like, why are you into Starbucks coffee?
Becoming a real estate agent. Like I was still a cop looking to get out of it at that point. Like I was getting tired of it. It was monotonous.
So you're almost essentially using her as your quote.
That's right.
So now she's the only person you know in real estate. So now you're actively pursuing real estate. So the person that you reach out to is your real estate agent.
Correct.
I think that's pretty smart, right? And then just so happens to be Scott's in this Starbucks coffee shop at the same time.
Exactly.
But you put yourself in that situation, right?
Yeah. Just putting your exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not so much. You are actively pursuing something, so you're not. That didn't just happen.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Okay, it did and it didn't. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you got lucky that he was there, but why did you get lucky? I mean, you got lucky because you're like, okay, I'm gonna become a real estate agent. I'm gonna go through the classes. Okay, I got my classes done. Now I'm gonna go ahead and talk to the real estate agent from which I buy my homes from, and maybe she can kind of steer me in the right direction. You're actively chasing that. Like, you were looking for that. You weren't looking for Scott necessarily because you didn't know about Scott, but you were actively looking for a mentor.
Correct.
Which your original mentor would have been the old lady.
Exactly. So I always put it back into looking back on it. Like, I could have what if the whole thing to death.
Yeah.
What if I can't get a job? What if this one has my salary and I can't support my family? What if I'm an idiot for even trying this? You know what I mean? You don't take the what if out of it and just go do what you're thinking would be the best thing. It's never going to come to life. Like if you don't take that, at least try to take the step forward. You get shut down and
what's worse than happening?
Yeah, exactly.
No, you're still a cop.
Yeah, correct. And I take another avenue.
Did you, when you were, okay, now next question, so you're working on making the transition, right? Did you still were you still a police officer and a real estate agent, or did you just say, fuck being a policeman, I'm a real estate agent now?
So before I went to, so I met with Scott. We ended up doing a dinner at Chili. I think I maybe did a one-on-one with them just to get to know each other. And then he's like, well, before we solidify anything, let's do a date night practically with his wife. We went to Chili's. They had like their son in there, like do the super family oriented and everything else, right? And so that at that point, I said, yeah, like boom, let's look at the paperwork first. I said, boom, I'm gonna go for it, man. Like if you're gonna have me, I'm gonna go put my 2 weeks in practically. Okay. And I don't even know if I put my full 2 weeks in. I think I had some PTO burn. So I think I got out within like 5 days essentially, dude. So yeah, and that was
kind of how that went. So then
exactly. You get called crazy for that? Or?
No, I don't really care what people say at the end of the day, man. Like, I'm gonna go do it, but just having an arrow on which I wanted to, I keep saying that, the direction of my life and what I wanted to look like in my future, that held a lot more weight and was going to get me a lot further in that industry than what being a B cop type situation would bring to my life. So after that, it was just, got going on the real estate side of things. So that's not where my business technically started. Well, I suppose it kind of did, right? So that's where my image started real estate wise. And I got a business card, but everything was ran through that team. Everything, like all the stuff I put in there, data wise, was always left like that team owned a lot of the information that I gathered for it. Does that make sense? So that came later. I don't know how much later we'll put in the show, but I worked with him for 5 years.
5 years?
And I made $100,000 every year working for him.
Okay.
For 5 years.
Okay, so for 5 years, you're part of Keller Williams, right? Keller Williams. So you're Scott Lander's quote unquote right hand man.
Yeah. So within that 5 years, we went from us two and 2 admin ladies to I think 16, 17 people on the team. Yeah, and if you think about that, like the dynamic of this versus having 16 of us in here, and there's a pizza in the middle, and everyone's getting a little bit of it, and I'm strong, I'm gonna grab a lot of it, but everyone else is gonna start picking up a little bit of it as well.
They want a piece of pepperoni.
So it started getting just a little more monotonous, more cold calls. It wasn't just, I don't want to say it was easier initially. You could go work for it, no matter how hard you can work and make things happen, right? But the benefit of being on the team wasn't outweighing how much effort I was putting into it. That makes sense. Yeah, so that was 5 years, and 16 people. We had a manager. We had all sorts of crazy stuff going on. Like we had kids in there that were like 18 making cold calls for us. ISAs is what they call them, the inside sales agent. they made an appointment. I just pitched them like $200, and I go on the appointment and I go make my money, which is great. Like, a lot of good, huge strategies. So again, Scott being the mentor, he started off as just an agent, pretty much side by side with me. And I'd say no more than a year later, we had probably 5 agents, and he had then become like a manager, boss. And then, another guy came in that actually took over management. So he went to like, CEO, more so or less. What would you call it? Upper overviewing manager, and then you got hands-on manager. So he did all that probably within 2 years, and that's where I really, yeah. So if you read some of the KW books, Gary Keller has a book, and it breaks down like how to become an agent, and then how to build a multi-million-dollar producing team practically. And there's a hierarchy to it, and that's what a lot of people strive to do.
And what was he following that essentially?
Pretty much to a T, man.
So Keller Williams is owned by, do we know who?
Gary Keller.
Gary Keller, and Gary Keller is
the main person who started the whole company. Yeah, like the whole lawsuit thing that just went down with the sellers and the AAR and everything. He fought that lawsuit just recently for Keller Williams, as
Gary
as representative for the company.
So Scott, is it like a franchise? Is that like how? So how do you work under Keller Williams?
Yeah, so you can open up your own market center. Okay. Would be what it would be.
Okay. And this is what Scott did.
Yeah, I know. So Vicky Runyon out of Lake Havasu started the Lake Havasu office first, and she has a good amount of agents. Then came up to Kingman and partnered with Wes Hassel actually, and I believe there was one. Maybe I don't think Scott was part of it. He could have been, but I'm not 100% sure if he actually helped open this market center here. It wouldn't surprise me if he was, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's just a market center. So as you're marketing into these centers, there's percentages of profits that feed back up to
Keller Williams.
Keller Williams as a whole company, right?
Okay.
And the owner of Vicky Runyon and Havasu is going to make a good amount out of both at Kingman and Havasu, and then her profits are going to go up there.
That makes sense.
So I don't know if you consider. I'm not super familiar with those.
That's kind of like a franchise, I guess. Essentially, like so. Say
I
buy
into it.
Yeah. I buy a Burger King. I'm going to run the Burger King.
You get their name, their resources, their training.
They pay for everything. They get it rolling, and then you got to pay them a percentage of all your profits. Okay, that makes sense.
So that's essentially how that works there. So I'm not sure if he was bought all the way into that, but he was working underneath those same systems, those same beliefs. And at that time, that's when I met my next role model, I would call him. His name was Dustin Runyon, the owner's son. I'm pulling words of what he said. He's like, dude, I was a piece of shit. I looked at my shadow and spit on him practically. This was that guy, right? And he came out of Phoenix doing short sales, just like the scum of the bottom of like real estate to an extent. But he was good at them though, right? He gets up here, kind of an overweight guy. He got into training in public speaking, and he's become one of the biggest investors in Havasu, building multi-million-dollar homes in the last 10 years. He started with me, and he's worked his way up public speaking. He's speaking with like Ed Milet, these huge people on the stages of Vegas, and investors like crazy. And he's come a long way. But he was also part of that up and coming crowd at KW at that time as well. Like listening, we'd have like our Wednesday meetings, and he'd just like mesmerize you with like just talking of like, hey, you need to do this. You left leaving just like you left a conference or something, like Tony Robbins or something crazy, right? Like something. So that was huge. That was a big contributing factor to pushing the scripts, pushing just open houses, just having everything in line in front of you to make yourself succeed at that time.
Okay.
So yeah, it was good.
So 5 years you got to spend with the Keller Williams team. You learned a ton.
Yeah.
You got a couple mentors. It sounds like.
Taught me everything I needed to know, and that's where things probably went a little skew in a way because I went on my own at that point. But also there was a weird dynamic because we were kind of talking. We had a really good working relationship where I got a lot of the pizza that I said earlier, like big slices, right? And then it started getting broken up, and I was making the cold calls. I was still doing my business. It just wasn't happening as quickly and as efficiently as I wanted it to, right? And that kind of puts a bad taste in your mouth. It was more me than anything that was being done around me. It was just the atmosphere I was around and that were partaking in at that time. So that's where I started kind of getting almost a little discouraged, it's like, oh man, this isn't as much fun as it was. Like, it's not coming in, it's not just flowing, and there's a lot of things that kind of work against you in the sales setting like that when you're not the top dog. In some ways, you're sitting there like, oh man, these guys are up here selling 12, 10 houses a month and only doing 5. Right. Which isn't bad. That's great. That's great house. That's great income. But it just gets to be a lot more when you're on that team and it's just push, grab, like you're just trying to go up the greasy pole, and that's what people want you to do, right? They want you to make as much, they want to do as many millions in sales as they possibly can, so they're just pushing, and that's like to the point where I'm like, dude, like I can do 4 sales a month on my own and not have the splits. So I didn't really talk about the income things. Like I paid Scott Lander at least 50%, maybe probably more, it was more, of every one of my transactions. So if I made 150 grand, he made 150 grand. So he wanted to get you making 150 grand. So he's now making 300 grand. We're making 150. So it didn't matter if, you know, I only made 90, you made 90. Now we have 2 other people make 99, 18, 27. That's 360,000. He's still making more money off of that.
And he's not putting in work on it.
Yeah, just and that business is very scalable.
It can be, and I'm training you because I'm now the master, and I didn't mind at first. Like, dude, check this out, blah blah blah. This is how you do it, you know. And then he got tired. I'm doing it again. I'm like, man, this is just, it's a lot. Like, I'm not gaining. I want to cut with this guy over here. You know what I mean?
So you're still selling and doing all your things, but on top of that, you're also training the next guy how to become
take your job. Pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Take your job. Okay.
So
kind of sounds like that pyramid scheme.
So there's another question we're going to go over later, but you know these big teams like this really saturated the market with agents. Like, you're out stay-at-home mom, you want to sell 2 houses a month? Like, we're selling 50 homes a month. I'm doing 10. Now we got double that amount of people. Now I'm only doing 7, 6, and it's just kind of taken away because there's only Kingman's still only one size, dude. Like, it's growing. Don't get me wrong. There's a ton of new construction, but there's only so much now you're fighting twice as hard to make those sales and
win more people,
trying to kick those people out. You know?
And in the beginning, so there's not only just in your team, right? Your team wasn't just growing. I would imagine there's other real estate teams in Kingman growing.
Yeah, Kingman was just prosperous in general because everything. Kingman was very low income, very low pricing. We've actually come up a ton. I mean, look at it. Our average sales price is $302,000.
Really?
Yeah, it is in Kingman. It was $287 to $300 depending on which month I would look at in the past. But we were talking when I started. It was like, dude, 135 to 150. We doubled that. So with that thing,
in 9 years.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a lot to look at and take in and examine. I could be. A lot of people would probably say, opposite. They just would maybe disagree a little more. The saturation of agents is the bad thing. But realistically, like in my eyes, it is. But also on my entrepreneurial side of things, like, screw it, man. Like, bring them in. Like, more cars, more people, more houses, more money.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It just depends on where you're at. Yeah.
Correct. So that's the mindset of where you got to flip and switch. And that's why I said I was kind of getting a little discouraged on the team side of things, going on my own. But yeah, we can transition right into going on my own and starting my own.
Yeah, we can do that. So let's roll into that. So you're 5 years Keller Williams.
Yep.
And now you feel like you've gained X amount of experience.
Right.
And now you're going to go, okay, so now I'm confident. I know I can sell. I've dealt with lenders. I've dealt with everything.
Seen it, done it, been there.
Done all cold calls, from the beginning to the end. I can do all of it.
Exactly.
And now you're comfortable going, all right, I'm going to go for it. What, you don't have to answer this, I guess, but, did you have a conversation with Scott? Because you're kind of like,
Scott was actually pretty pissed about this whole thing in some way because he wasn't involved. Okay, let's backtrack. It's a good question. So Scott became so up here. I might have seen him twice a month, 3 times a month. He might watch this and be like, that was probably true. I'm not lying. It's kind of a crappy thing to say, but once that relationship left, that I kind of built my business around, it just kind of became a little less. But Steve was the other main manager that came up and took over, and he did great. Like he came from a church setting as a pastor, so he's very people oriented, dude. He just brings people in, and agent wise and everything else. Yes, his network is deep and huge and rooted. So I had that conversation, and at the end, like I was kind of getting tapped out at the end. I'm just like kind of coming in late. I was more interested in going to the gym and going to get a lunch rather than going in there just pounding the phones. And so ultimately I talked with him, and he's like, "Oh, dude, I saw that coming." I'm like, "Thanks for saying something, bro." But all right. I'm like, "Yep." I think he just knew it was coming. Like all my business, I was doing my I'd say if I really realistically, I did just like 7 houses per month.
Okay.
I'd say 3/4 of them were my past clients coming back around, or my friends wanting to buy, or my fingers reaching just a little further to other people. That
Your own network. You build your network.
You prefer me people, you know, this and that. I've sold.
He still owes me steak dinner.
Yeah.
2 of them.
Yeah, 2 of them.
Damn it.
Yeah, so you start just building these relationships, you know, and it starts coming to you, and then you start getting a little. I'm still splitting at 50% with the boss man, and it's all I'm doing all the work over here. You know what I mean? So I guess I was probably getting a little sour at the end of it. So he probably didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
But Scott came around. He's like, dude, I wish you could come talk to me. We probably could have found you like another role. He really wanted to keep me just for my presence and me being part of that team with him from the very beginning. I'm like, listen, man, I appreciate it all, but I'm out of here, dude. Yeah, so that's at that point I was already kind of putting my feelers out. There's if I had to guess, 50 agents that cycled through the team within that 5 years, probably even more, that come and left. Kind of looked at some of them that were still in the business. You'd be surprised how people wash up in real estate, dude. They get in, sell their mom's house, sell a couple friends' house, and then they disappear off the face of the earth, like real estate wise. They just lose it. Happens all the time. I'd say the average agent in the U.S. sells 12 homes per year. The average agent, the producing agent. There's so many agents that don't even produce anything except maybe 3 or 4 a month or a year. Sorry.
So on average, the average number is 12.
Average is 12, and then you
One
got
house a month.
more top producing. Your average, and then you got just low, you know.
And you're doing 7.
Yeah.
At the time.
At that time. Yeah.
That's not it. 1
No.
to 7.
Yeah.
So you're doing 7 times.
Yeah. I was averaging like 55 homes a year to 60.
That's a lot of homes.
And that was a lot of people on our team were getting close to that too. You know, like, and that's a big. We were produced. God, I can't remember the number off. Something ridiculous, dude. Like $65 million just in our team in real estate, which is top producing in the whole country. Like we were right there. The Southwest region for KW was the top, and we were at the top 3. Havasu was a little higher than us. Their sales price, they're double than ours, volume wise, but
a lot more money
yeah,
there.
we were there. Like I got all the medals and everything up on stage, like giving all that. You know, Scott's the main guy with the trophy, but I got a medal. Helping him out. Yeah, no, it was good. So yeah, at that point, I reached out to a couple agents that had left the team that were still doing were successful. Sandy Scalzon's a big one. She's really a great person, very motivational, up energy. Runs as fast as she can, pretty much. She's like, dude, I'm at Realty One, come check this out. I'm like, all right. So I'm like, all right. The biggest thing was I was looking at my income, like money wise, honestly. I knew the quality of the training wasn't going to be as good, but I have those resources. I have the books, I have the scripts, I have.
You know what you've been doing it.
Correct.
You know what to do.
So ultimately, I did go over there. I interviewed a couple different other areas. I'm like, I feel like this place is going to work really well for me. The biggest contributing factor was. I don't want to get too detailed in all this, but they took $400 of your check. If you sold a home for under 500 grand, your check was round number 8 grand, 10 grand. When we were around, they took $400, no matter what. That was it.
So that was their deal. We get $400 off or whatever.
Versus the landing team,
Take
you got
50%,
and then you got to. I didn't get it. There's a cap to work at real KW. It's $12,000. You have to pay them 30% of every one of your checks until you pay them $12,000 to work at KW.
Okay.
So I was paying Scott 50%,
Yeah.
and they were still taking an additional 30% of my check to make.
Until you make.
Yeah,
12
it
grand.
usually took me 4 months to give them 12 grand. Then after that, I get my full 50/50. Dude, none of that all went away. Like, Realty One has a cap of 12 grand as well, but they're only doing it $400 increments. I'd have to sell close to like 70 homes at full commission to pay them their cap. And I'm like, if I only sell 40 homes this month, I'm going to double my income from what I did on the team, or this year, sorry, 40 homes this year. So it was kind of like a no-brainer. I got my office set up, looking good. Oh shit, man, this is no one in here. Like, this is crazy. So that was pretty cool. But at that time, I jumped a little sooner than I should have. Like looking how deep the water might have been, or not how deep the water wasn't, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I have my sphere, which is cool, dude. Because like some months, my phone will ring 10 times with 10 people interested in doing something, buying, selling, investing. Other months, it doesn't ring at all. So when that wasn't happening on the landing team, I had a database of 30,000 people just to start calling through. I lost all that. Lost all that, right?
Yeah.
So I started going back through my solds and like, shit, here's their number, here's their email, here's this, here's that. So I started probably about where Scott started at ground zero back when I started with him, and he had momentum going. He probably did that probably 6 years before I met him.
And the market was already, like, he was rolling into a good market.
Oh, tremendous.
You kind of rolled into a
fair. It was fair. It's gone down probably a little more since then. But it was putting everything in there, getting going, doing this, and it went great. I was doing probably 4 or 5 deals a month on my own, which was, it did double my income just about, which was good. And that's where I really started my brand. And I didn't dive in as far and hard as I should have. That's the thing. Like, I was doing so well, just coasting, that I kind of started doing the waves, what I call it, goes up and down a little bit.
You got comfy?
Got comfy, right?
Yeah.
So, and everyone does, right? And it started slowing down a little bit, and this and that. So that rolls into this last-ish chapter a couple years ago. Might have been that a couple years ago. I went to go back at the team. Everybody was like, "What the fuck did you say, dude? You've been doing so well." Like, I'm like, man, I feel like I need like someone to help guide me a little bit further and up the stream and give me more of a management type role. And that was not a good idea.
Because you went back to Keller Williams.
Yeah, I went back to KW again after I was doing really well doing this, and I thought I saw a good opportunity working with a team here in town that does all the foreclosures. And he told me, he's like, dude, you take this over, you can work all the agents, and you can build our team up, and I'll pay you, 7% of every one of their deals to you. And I'm like, those numbers work. Like, that works really well without me having to make cold calls and doing all that. But now I just I didn't really think it through. I should have talked more with some smarter people around here. And I didn't. I kind of did it on my own. And I don't even think my wife fully supported me on that one, honestly. In some ways, I'm like, I overthought it in my head, or I thought so much about it that I talked myself into it.
So this is like an issue. So this is a problem that you ran into, right?
That was a big one.
So everything's going good. Everything's working. This kind of hits question 4, I guess. I mean, we're in the it's just rolling through it. You know what I mean? So this is a problem, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
So Keller Williams killing it. You're getting tired of the monotony. Understandable. You got on your own. You're doing foreclosures there, or you're doing foreclosures at Keller Williams?
The KW. That's
so
where he does all the REOs in Kingman.
So now you're going to be everywhere. Okay. So you're going to be. You're getting what you're asking for. You're trying to be more of a management role, right?
Secured income as well, more so. Like it's coming to that team pretty much no matter what. Right?
Okay. And what problems did that?
So very first one, I go in there and my phone rang again like 10 times that month. And
sell your own stuff.
Yep. And
shit.
all my shit got cut by 50%. I look at my checks. I was going from $10,000 checks to $3,500. I'm like, fuck. Throw it away. All right, whatever. I'll make it up because the team booms. They got Zillow. They got all these other things I can work into and this and that. And I would make it up. But now again, I'm back to the lander team where I'm doing twice, triple the deals, but still making the same amount of money at the end of the day. I'm like, shit. And I was okay with that. I just kept pushing. So I started meeting with the team owner, and I'm like, hey, I really want to start pushing why I came back to the team setting for the management side of things and pushing these REOs a little bit. And he's like, yeah, we'll get that going, bought lunch, wine and dine me pretty much. Go to the office Monday morning, we're supposed to have a little huddle, no one's there. I'm like, okay, do my own thing again. And I almost say, for whatever reason, I think the market was slowing a little. It was starting to slow here. That was like 2.5, 3 years ago. Maybe not about that. It was starting to slow. A lot of people stopped coming in the office.
Is that like pandemic-wise?
No. They're just a lot of people in real estate. I'm telling you, it's like their second gig. It's like their part-time deal.
Okay.
A lot of these other people have another full-time job. So when it's good and they can make more money at this real estate gig, it's easy money for them. Now, if they can go work their 410s and make their money and not have to worry about the hassle of the real estate grind, because it can be tedious, man. There's a lot of processes and systems and things that can really get screwed up through a transaction. They'll stop coming in. So I was just I'm like, dude, what the fuck's going on here? There's no one here, low energy. I know I'm doing my own thing, I'm good at it, but this wasn't what I came back for. That's not what I was pushing for. So it took me to 2 months. Hey man, we gotta get back together on this. So come back to what we talked about last meeting, and he was still like, yeah. It just never happened, man. Never happened. So
He was more of a salesman.
yeah, and I get it, but he has a lot of other things going on. He was trying to open Havasu. He was growing the bullhead team with another team leader there, and she's the one that actually kind of convinced me to come back to the Hassel team as a team leader here, and it just never worked out.
Nothing was happening. It was just kind of like this.
And
Like
now,
you were back burner.
correct.
Not necessarily that you're on the back burner, but he got.
Yeah,
Is this Scott or is this somebody
This
else?
is West Hassel. The
This is West Hassel.
Yes.
Okay. So they just got so much going on that.
And he's like, so even Scott he didn't produce a lot on his own. He pushed everything to his team.
Okay.
West would do a lot on his own. Like he was still a full-time agent while still trying to run a team in both cities, Kingman and Bullhead, and try to run here and do the REO still. You got to visit the things like once every 2 weeks or something like that. And he had some in Parker, Wikia, Kingman, Bullhead, Fort Mojave, Golden Valley. He's driving. Like
Busy.
Yeah, busy. He's running. So I did again. That's where I was saying I jumped quick again. It's like, oh man, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. You know what I mean? Like, although it sounds and looks like it could be.
The grass is green where you water it.
Exactly.
That is something that I have learned tenfold. The grass is green where you water it.
Exactly.
Remember that. The grass is green where you water it.
You go try to chase it, but it dies when you get there, man. Or you eat it and it's gone, one way or another. So just about a year ago, not 9 months, back at Realty One, doing my own thing, branded, all my business cards, all my baskets, all my stuff, all my signs, all my shit's back where it's supposed to be. And I closed 7 last month. So last month, July, yeah, we're there.
Yeah.
So I'm going off July numbers, and it was fantastic. Before that, it's been going really well that ways. Wife's been really helping me push into it, and like just working the systems and the sphere of influence and everything else, making me baskets for my closing gifts, and I've been really pushing into real estate side of things. Like there's a lot of ins and outs of like drips and campaigns and
So
keeping in
what
touch.
point did you start to feel like successful?
So the Lander team, I felt successful.
Yeah.
I mean, compared, so there's a big thing that I put in my head, and I'm always going to probably compete with myself in that way. Like, I surround myself with people, and I want to do better than those people no matter what. And while I was there, I was always doing better than all those people. Even a lot of people, friend-wise, like when it came to objects or just life success in general and family life and everything else, like I always was there. So that was success for sure. And then going on my own, that was success, and I kind of went away from it and went back to the team, and then that was the least successful thing. Now, this last year, again, has been very successful, but I know in myself that I'm gonna have to start to drive into the next phase of my life, looking further ahead, rather than just leaping at the next quick thing, right? So that's some stuff I've learned, and there's issues that arise, the economy, interest rates, Bidenomics, all sorts of shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right?
ain't that the truth? Fucking Christ.
Yeah, so, it's things like that, saturation of agents, people are still trying to kill it out there. I got a whole list of them I wrote down, I don't remember initially, but yeah, there's just a lot that can change and change your direction, I'd say. Bring you highs and lows. Real estate has a lot of highs and lows, and I know for a fact that I can even those out with some guidance and some just focus and purpose. And I know I can make it to the investment sides more so because that's my future. I know if I can get things a little more stable and invest and just have my base business growing, it's going to be very, very successful in the next 5 years. Which we'll do another podcast.
Yeah,
you'll see.
We'll revisit it and see where you're at.
Be driving a Lambo or something at that time,
Put it in the background.
Yeah. So, yeah, those are definitely some pretty big things that have pushed and struggled, and there's highs, there's lows, and it's easy just to go with the easy route. That's the hard thing,
Right.
It's easy just to fall back in line with the lambs and the sheeps, and just kind of go about it and make your X amount of money and be happy, which is great. But I know I'll never be satisfied just making a little bit of money. I need that next step. Otherwise I go back. Like that's essentially what I think I'm telling you guys, I do really well. I decide to make a decision and it kind of sets me back. I'll make it work, but then I'll go back and make it even better, and I'll just keep going up and so it's falling forward, only, one step back, two steps forward. That's what I'm really trying to push to do for myself.
I think eventually you should be no steps back, right?
That's the idea, right?
One step forward, one step forward, one small step at a time.
Yeah.
I do want to touch on this because I think this is important. And this isn't necessarily a question that we have written down or anything, but you've brought up your wife and a team a couple times now. So how important do you think it is because look at, so it sounds to me like she supported you through 90% of your journey, right?
Sure.
But you even said it yourself, you know what I mean? When you decided to go back to the Lander team, she didn't fully support you.
Sure.
And then look what happened.
Damn.
You fell on your fucking face. You know what I mean? So how important do you think it is to have, the support from your woman or your significant other? I mean, in this case, your wife, but
Tremendous that support, guidance, support. Now I know there's definitely two types of people when you start talking this way. I can be very self-guided, and then I sometimes like to be guided or told what's the right thing to do. And that's just me as a person. Now, when I have the right idea in my head of like what I want to go do, if my mindset to like the police academy for 19 weeks, like I'm not gonna fail at that shit. We'll get washed out, like no matter what it was. If I went to the military, unless my knee's blown out or something crazy, like I'm gonna do it and make it work. And when my mind's set and secure, like I can do anything, no matter what. Now, when I'm still a little skeptical and I need that little bit more of a push, my wife is definitely there. She is a cattle prod, man. Like she'll fucking get the fuck up and go do it. Like it's pretty firm. Like, and if you guys got to know my wife, she might even be someone that would be good to bring on the show one day. She hasn't stopped school in the last 10 years, and she's gonna be a nurse practitioner here in like less than a year. And she might make more money than me, so I'm gonna have to step up my game.
you better step up, dude. You better quit fucking around.
So
Can't
I would
let
say
that happen.
100%. I mean, you're not gonna want to go against the idea, and even if you think you might be right, it'd be worth stepping out, maybe getting another opinion on like, hey, what are your real outsiding thoughts on this with all the facts laid in front of like a neutral party, perhaps wouldn't be the worst idea. Or stepping to more people in that business and getting their overall insight of have they gone through this before, because I can be kind of reclusive sometimes on like, I got this, I've done this, I've gone through hard shit in my life. I can put my best foot forward and still make it work. It might take a little more time and be a little harder, but why do that if you have to do that, right? There's a lot of people that are always out there, hey man, like, I'll help you, what's up, let's grab lunch. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I like being friends with people and doing a lot, but it can also be like, I don't know. Maybe that sounds right, but it's hard to say for sure.
Definitely.
So, but having a supporting support there is definitely huge factor, no doubt. And that's still just the whole guidance, the whole arrow of our life where we're going to be. I mean, there's going to be time in the next 3 years where we have our own offices side by side. We're going to be jamming out, very, very confident. Now, working to get there. She's helping me. I'm going to be helping her. Like I said, she's in there making me baskets, doing my social media. She's doing a lot of my social media for me. And that helps. And we're just going to start pushing on each other to grow and push. And I still am in the focus of what I want my actual 3-step, 5-step plan, 5-year plan to look like. Of, am I gonna try to build a team? Is it the time to build a team? What's, is the market gonna hold out? How much longer is it gonna hold out for me? Like, damn, there's a lot to really think about at that point.
And those are problems that we're going into now, right? Those are, if you have...
Do you go buy that apartment complex? Is it gonna last? Or are you gonna fall all the way back on your ass and start at ground zero and like be scrounging the pennies and laying cement for the side job on the weekend to make the mortgage? You don't need that.
Like, oh shit, fucked up.
Exactly.
And Hermes, I'd like you to kind of chime in on this too, because I know you and your wife have been together a long time. My wife and I have been together for, I don't know, 6.5 years, some shit. But I can agree with Michael on that, you know what I mean? And I know this about Michael. So Michael and his wife have been together, since he was broke. They've built all this together. Myself and my wife have built this together, and I'm pretty sure Hermes, like I'll be curious about, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure you guys have been together.
We're at it 9 years right now. Do pretty good. I'm mostly the idea person. She is logistics.
Okay.
So, typically I'm like, with the whole Prius thing I do, I was like, hey, do you think this will work? Told her the numbers. She's like, it might work, it seems like you can make a little bit of money. Or like when we started selling cars, she actually quit her job before I quit my job.
Really?
Just because she was better at the logistics of this whole thing.
Okay.
So, 100%.
100%.
If I didn't have her, it'd just be a lot harder.
And the reason I bring that up, and this might be a little controversial, but fuck it, I don't really care. I think that's something that we miss in today's society. You know what I mean? I think that's fucking missed.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's on social media. You're comparing yourself to every other entrepreneur that's doing so damn well, you know what I mean? And then, am I getting the attention I want to get? And there's a lot of people that are self-individualized, doing what they feel might be best for them and not taking other things into account.
Yeah.
Rather often, it happens all the time. Or it could also turn you right down into the slums and into the trenches, that quick.
And I think, I don't know about you guys, but so I'll use the Pawncast for example. Like I pitched this thing to fucking, I don't know, probably 200 or 300 people before I pitched it to my wife. And any idea I've ever had, or any concept, or any premise I've had, at the end of the day, at least to me, I guess I hold my wife's opinion in highest regard, right? So I won't pitch an idea to my wife unless I've pitched it to enough people, and my wife gets pissed at me, right? Because I'll start pitching it to other people. I'll pitch it to this person, I'll pitch it to this person, and she's like, why do you bring all these ideas to all these people and you never bring it up to me? And I think one of the things is I pitch all these fucking ideas, and I have to make sure it's going to be something worthy of bringing to my wife, right?
Sure.
Because my wife she's the one who stands behind me when shit hits the fan. When everything takes a shit and I fuck up and I make a mistake and I go back to the Keller Williams team, or I go buy this fucking machine and I spend all this fucking money and it fucking shits the bed, and I go to my wife and I'm like, well, fuck that up. You know what I mean? She's the one that can be like, well, sure, you did fuck up and that was a mistake, but look, fucking put your big boy pants on and get your shit back together and fucking make it happen. Because I would say 90% of the time, if I pitch an idea and I believe it can work in the beginning, I believe it can work in the end. Whether it fucks up or not. Mm-hmm. And I haven't brought this up to you guys. I keep forgetting about it, but we look at PAWN, P-A-W-N, we turned it into an acronym. That's the right word? I don't want to sound like a dumbass. We turned an acronym. And the first letter is P, so that's pursuing, right? We're constantly pursuing. Mm-hmm. And then the next word is A, which is adapt. You're constantly adapting. Yeah. So, and we've been trying to figure out W, right? W has been it's been a toss up between win and wonder, and we've been kind of talking about it, and wealth comes to mind, and not wealth in the sense of money, but wealth in the sense of your life. So something I've been asking people in the barbershop lately is, if you take money out of the equation, take all money out of the equation, take everything, you take all your assets, take all your shit, take anything that cash flows, take it all away, and look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I proud of the individual that I am? Am I happy with the person? Am I happy with the person that's looking back at me in the mirror right now, right? And I think that's wealth. I think when you're happy and you're not fucking people over, and you're not screwing people over, and you have a great relationship with your significant other, and say you're raising kids, or say you don't have any kids, or when you have good relationships with people, I think that's wealth. I think that's what true wealth is. Yeah. And I guess I'm pitching this to you guys live, that if maybe we make W wealth. Because wealth is important. Take money out of it. Sure, money helps. That's great, fine and dandy. But what is wealth? You need your health.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's yourself. It's your self-reflection, but also yourself within. Are you taking care of your body? Are you putting good things into your body? Are you putting good things into your mind? What are you looking at? What are you reading?
Exactly.
What are you doing when people aren't looking? Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what true wealth is. So I think, at least for me, I can't speak on this for sure. I don't know if everybody's gonna agree or not. We're gonna have to fucking put it up to a vote, fuck coin flip, whatever the fuck. But I think W should be wealth, because I think it's important.
Better than wonder.
Better than wondering.
We're not just wondering.
Better than wondering. And then N is your network, and your whole story is based off of a network.
Yeah.
And okay, let's go into it for just a second. Go back to the whole Steve guy, right?
Right.
So he's a pastor. So look at his network. Your network is your net worth. It's just a fact. And going back into your wife, you know what I mean? Our wives, like my wife is my rock. No matter what fucking happens, I can. She's gonna fucking keep me grounded. Hermie's wife is gonna keep him grounded. Michael's wife, when everything hits the fan and shit takes a fucking turn for the worst, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We know that we can get through it because we have a strong, significant other. And I think that's important. And I think personally that's not talked about a lot. You know what I mean? I think with everything in the fucking world today and OnlyFans and women showing their fucking ass and blah 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 blah, I think the benefits of a good woman is important, and I think that a good marriage and a healthy marriage and relationship and all these things, that all adds to your wealth. And if we're going to be standing up here trying to teach you guys how to be successful in a business, I think that's an important piece. You know what I mean? And if our acronym is going to be pursue, adapt, wealth, and network, well, that's a piece of it. And I think we need to be open and true about that. You know what I mean? Like, my wife's not out here fucking every other dude and posting shit on OnlyFans. And I mean, if you want to do that, cool. Can you look in the mirror? Can you look yourself in the mirror and be that individual and be like, I'm happy with the fucking person that's looking back at me? Sure, I'm sure there are some people that can. You mean, I'm sure there are people that can be like, you know, I'm happy and this is what I want to do. But in a broad, you have a spectrum, right? You have good, bad, you have black, white, you have, you know what I mean? Like, so if you're going to do a comparison, you have to have a spectrum. You have to have a far left and a far right. So, but as a whole, in general, I don't think the majority of people can look in the mirror and be like, I showed my fucking dick or my vagina to everybody on fucking TV and I'm fucking cool with the person that I am. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I think that's wealth.
And even if you give yourself that ride for a short while, feeling grandiose about that, how long is that gonna last?
How long
a couple
is it
years?
last? Exactly.
You're gonna get old.
Yeah.
You're gonna get saggy. Whatever
Yeah, exactly.
it is. That's only there's a time perspective there
People are going to
too.
forget who you are. You know what I mean? Are you really important? Are you really helping individuals? Sure, you make some money,
Yep.
but take money out of it.
Exactly.
And what is wealth? You know what I mean? And I think that at least in my opinion, I think that's what wealth is. And I think, in my opinion, people who become successful and people who are interviewing on this thing, they all have a strong woman. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, we could go as deep as you want down this rabbit hole. We won't do it on this podcast, but maybe we'll set up a separate thing for it.
Sure.
But I think that it's important to have good relationships and be good to people. You brought up the fact that you have a battle within yourself, that when you put yourself in a room full of individuals, you're going to be the best motherfucker in the room.
Right.
I have that mindset. I do. But I also have the mindset of, if I stand in a room and I'm the smartest motherfucker in the room, I'm the stupidest motherfucker in the room.
That's true.
Because if I can't learn from, like, okay, right now I can learn from Michael, I can learn from Hermes can learn from me, Hermes can learn from Michael, we can learn from Amelia, we can learn from Con. Everybody that I surround myself with currently, and you surround yourself with, and we all surround ourselves with individuals who have something that we want. Right? So if you're the number one man in the room, you're the dumbest one in the room.
Sure.
And look at you've done it. Exactly. And look at your story, right? So when you got with Scott, you're a nobody, right? You're a pawn.
Yeah.
You're moving one step forward, and Scott has all this information and he teaches you all this things. So for 5 years, you're fucking winning because you're around success.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then you go out on your own and you're successful, but then what happens? You feel stagnant because who are you surrounded with? Nobody.
People. Yeah, exactly. No one. It's hard to find that crowd. It's very difficult.
It's very difficult. It's a very difficult thing to do, but I think it's very important. You are a byproduct of the top 5 or 10 people you surround yourself with. Sure. Period.
I believe it 100%.
It's a fact. It just is what it is. If you hang around 10 junkies, you're gonna be a fucking junkie. You hang around 10 millionaires, you'll be a millionaire. It just is what it is. Just how it fucking works. And we're gonna prove it. We're gonna prove it in the Pawncast. You guys are sitting here watching us interview people, and we got a fucking busted ass table and some hats, and we're trying to come up with ideas, and we're shooting in a garage, and there's not a lot of, we've spent maybe $200 or $300 getting this thing rolling. And we're using our network and having conversations with people. And we're going to try to teach, we're trying to teach you guys to build more of a network. And it has nothing to do with money. Money, are you getting paid for this?
Nope.
Are you getting paid for this?
Not yet.
I'm not getting paid for this.
There we go.
Not yet.
So not yet.
You know what I mean? And it just happens, but we're not out here going, hey, we're gonna charge you to sign up to watch this. All this shit's gonna be free to you guys. I mean, this is all information that you guys can run with, and it's gonna be huge. Let's I don't want to keep
like, so before the whole, this whole podcast, I did not know what it took to be a real estate person.
Oh, yeah?
I
Good.
had no idea.
Yeah, I still don't know.
Like,
but
I own some real estate, but I have no idea. Like,
yeah,
I didn't know there was a network to do all this stuff. And like, I thought it was, you just go buy a house, talk to a realtor from RE/MAX. You go to RE/MAX, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't know there was other places or
Ton.
anything like this.
Yeah, there's a
And now I'm
bunch.
like, huh.
Oh, interesting. Now you want to do another deal, and this is a network. This puts people together to help other individuals.
exactly.
And then guess what? You go buy a house, Michael makes money.
My guy needs a car.
He needs a car, boom, you make money. Like, you're not doing it to make money. You're doing it to help people. You're doing it you're becoming wealthy. You're becoming a good individual. You're pursuing, you're adapting, you're becoming wealthy. You're using your network, and everything grows. And we're going to prove it to you guys. I said this in the barbershop today, and I'm going to say it right here live on episode 3. Joe Rogan will call us to be on the Pawncast.
There we go.
I'm going to fucking call it. Oh, Emilio's got something to say.
Another thing, so when my transition went out of my truck, guess who the first person I thought to call was?
Who?
The first person you had on this, Ryan.
Ryan.
Yep.
Perfect. Hell yeah. That's fucking badass. The first individual you thought to call when your shit broke was the first individual we interviewed on the podcast. That's dope. Like that, now Ryan gets to make money because he was on the podcast.
Exactly. Yep.
And Emilio gets to help somebody out.
So,
Not somebody's wife.
I do see someone.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, let's go into question 6, Hermes. Let's get into the childhood stuff, dude. Let's dive down that rabbit hole.
Alright, so do you think your upbringing is like, do you think your childhood has anything to do with who you are now?
yeah, big time. Two different ways, I'd say. So I was brought up pretty standard median income household.
Okay.
Gotta go do our things, had a couple toys, went on our trips, had good dinners most nights. It was good. Watched my parents always work really hard, no matter what. You know, they weren't kind of a work from home type person. They were at work from 6 or 5 a.m. till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, making pretty good money. Pretty good role model. My old man went from being a Ford diesel mechanic, doing brakes, all the way to a distribution manager on the fleet for Wonder Bread out of Las Vegas, southwestern region. Over, 25 years, 30 years, probably 25 years? Probably about 25 years. Until they sold out to Bimbo down in Mexico, and then he lost his job. But, I watched him go through all that, and always working hard, always doing what it took to make sure we had nice things, no matter what. I always had nice, good shoes, good bike, good whatever it was, you know what I mean? There was always that. So I would definitely say that was a big push on watching my dad and my parents raise us that way. On the other hand, not everything's always paradise, you know what I mean? Money was tight. My parents didn't have the nicest, newest cars. I always it gave me enough to know what I had, but also gave me a perspective of what I wanted. Like when we went to Glamis, we got our little Volkswagen buggy, right? And I'm like, damn, that Funko sand car over there's pretty sick, man. Like, what do you do to get to that? So, but I had a lot of pride and respect for what I had, and that's how I grew up. Like, no matter what it was, I had an old Bronco, an old Mustang. My old man pulled it apart all the way down to the firewall to nothing to get everything put back together to have a good, reliable vehicle that a lot of people end up liking. You know what I mean? It was a good car. So there was a lot of core values that gave me that self-esteem to work through pretty much any issue, to not get peer pressure into bad decisions or not being able to make something work that I know I can do. I always make it work one way or another. I push myself through it at that time. So yeah, I would definitely say there's a lot to that question, but that's a pretty good, well-rounded aspect of things.
So do you think, going into that, how do I word this? So, okay, so there's good things and bad things that happen. So your parents raised you, right? Do you think you learned more good or bad? Have you ever had that type of conversation with your old man or your mom or whatever? Like, hey, look, like, I think you guys, at the end of the day, they created who you are today.
Correct.
Essentially, right? Like they set in stone some moral values and things to follow.
Their mentor number one.
Their mentor number one.
So,
like,
are you asking if we had a conversation like
yeah,
real?
like have you ever had like a real conversation with your old man or your parents?
My parents are like super proud of everything. We've Deanna, myself and Deanna and I both have exceeded my parents' expectations of what they thought their kids should have become at that point. So through that process though, like I'm still this way. I have a lot of self-evaluation of things that go around outside of like what I'm looking at. So I can't say I had a lot of conversations on. They didn't teach me money. They didn't teach me taxes or this or say. I looked and saw what they did and decided if I wanted to do that or take my own route and do it my way. What I thought would be better. And even growing up, I've hung around a lot of different families that have been super successful and then some that not so much. And I really got a good basis of where I was fortunate enough to be able to do that. I was very versatile when it came to being able to hang out with anyone I wanted to or do whatever I wanted. So I was able to see where I wanted to lead myself at that time. But I can't remember like any real solid conversations except like, I'm going to debt for college, but I was already like 18 at 17 at that point, But other than that, I just worked hard for my stuff. Like my old man put in like half the money to purchase my first car. They were always willing to help me out with things I needed. But if anything was extracurricular, like dirt bikes and tires and this, like wheels, exhaust, whatever else it is, I had to go put out. And I worked. I worked. Jared knows this shit through my childhood. Like I started delivering bread in like early high school, which Garrett actually worked with the same guy. Like we'd get up on Saturday morning at 2 a.m., maybe earlier, go deliver bread until 2 in the afternoon to make the nut, man. Like just to get that extra money coming. Like
it was like $100 or something.
Dude, it was so bad, so bad. But
go run your ass off fucking day. I got $100, bro.
$100 at that
cash
time.
too.
Oh yeah, no, it's cash. That Mike Green.
Mike Green.
Ooh, I wonder if I can get Mike Green on here.
Hey, doubt it. Crazy home man, dude. But like I was instilled those things to go do, like and I was given those opportunities, like I was instilled with those beliefs and those traditions to go work. And given those opportunities and shit, even getting into Panda Express was my first job in Kingman, Arizona. I opened the store up here.
Okay.
And I was like one of the first employees. I had to train down in Bullhead, and I was up here. And I worked Monday through Thursday, dude. I wake up, I lived in Valley Vista. I still freaking do, actually. But I'd drive into town, dude, asshole, like 5:30 in the morning for school, hit early 0 period gym, go through school, hit football practice after, or baseball, or whatever the hell it was, and then go work until 11 o'clock at night at Panda Express, and then drive my happy ass all the way back out to Valley Vista. Luckily, I worked Monday through Thursday and had the weekends off.
Okay.
And I was making like $10 an hour at Panda, dude, for my first job. At minimum wage was like what, $7.50 probably.
I was making $7. No, it was $7. It was $7 an hour because I remember I went to work. It was
$7.25. That sounds about right.
$7.25? Yeah, because I was making $7.25 at Burger King, and I was all I was making $7.50 at Burger King. I started at McDonald's. I was making $7.25, and then I went to that car show, and the owner of Burger King was like, "Hey, I'll pay you $7.50 you come to Burger King." And I always remember being all butthurt. I'm like, "What the fuck? I'm working fast food, and Michael's working fast food, and he's making $2.50 more than me. This is bullshit."
Yeah.
And I'd bring him burgers, and I'd go eat fucking orange chicken.
Should have been delivering bread. That's $100.
Well, I did that too.
I still did it on Saturday, dude. So
Yeah, I did that on Saturday.
So I just say I was instilled that all the way from the very beginning. Just like, hey, if you want to do it, go bust your ass, dude. I paint fences. I painted 3-row cattle fences for 12 miles out in Valley Vista, power washing and hand painting that shit for a summer job. When I was at NAU to make $500 for those couple weeks to get me by on gas money and I didn't do anything fun.
That sounds like you have to like grind a lot, but that's kind of like what got you to where you're at.
Correct. So that hard work and still pushing and
Mm-hmm.
still wheeling and dealing when I can, not as much as this guy over here, but I'm still doing right. So, but go back to the parents. Yeah, I think there was a lot there. I think I took a lot out of it myself rather than having any influence. I mean, all the way through my whole family. I can go grandpa, grandmas, Deanna, my wife's parents, my parents. Like I didn't really have a lot at all to go off of. Like, although they were satisfied with their lifestyles, they had their little boat, their little RV, they had their whatever going on. That was good with them, but I'm like, I want more than that, no matter what, for my kids, for my family. I want to go on those vacations that I see those other people going on. That they go to Mexico for spring break. You're going to Mexico, dude? I'm fucking working all week. What the hell, man? So I was just like, man. So to an extent.
I gotta ask this question, dude. And this is just my opinion. You don't have to. It is what it is. So, I think that one of the things. Okay, so you had to go through a struggle. Okay, so your parents weren't rich, balling out, doing all. I mean, sure, you may have had things, and they lived a great life, and you know what I mean. And they're happy with what they're doing. You're able to go to Glamis. Maybe you did drive a sand rail, or not a sand rail, but a little VW.
Yeah, I had stuff.
You had stuff. And that's awesome. And I think there's individuals, you know what I mean, who didn't have stuff.
There's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people. I didn't have shit.
This was,
But you understand what I'm saying. But I think so now transitioning into you and what you want to give your children. This is just my opinion. I'll openly say it. Like I don't have any kids yet, but I'm a barber and I deal with children every day, and I see a lot of people. In my opinion, one of the worst things that you can do for a child or a son, I guess. I'm going to say a son just because you have sons. 2. You have 2. I think that when you take that struggle away from them, they don't learn, they don't get to drive. Now, what I'm saying and what I mean by that is I'm not telling them like you can't go on vacation, you can't do this, you can't do that. But I think that's what got you to where, I think that is why you do what you do.
No, I guarantee it is. I know why.
Yeah, I think
you can't give them things.
You can't
just give them. We know people like that.
We know people. We know people or individuals who grew up rich or wealthy or whatever. All right, guys, we had camera failure. Like I said, we don't have a whole lot of money invested in this thing yet, so we're working on it. I think what I was talking about is raising your children, and we're going to use boys for example. I think it's important to kind of let your kids struggle a little bit, because I think in struggling, that's how you become what you are. So, and off camera we talked about this for a second, but I'm gonna miss this fucking quote by a little bit, but y'all get the fucking the gist, right? So, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. And then that cycle just fucking keeps going and going and going and going. But I believe that a strong man can create good times, right? And then, instead of going, hey kid, let me just fucking give you everything, right? Make that little motherfucker work.
Yeah.
Like make him earn it. And I just read a book, The Richest Man in Babylon.
Okay, yeah.
And in that book, there's a story about the richest man in Babylon has a son. This is just very quick, but the richest man in Babylon has a son, and he goes out, and his son becomes of age to take over said whatever, and he goes, look, you need to go out for 10 years and prove to me that you can take over my inheritance, right? So, and he says, I'm going to give you more than I had myself. So basically what he does is he gives him a bag of Babylonian money. He gives him a horse or a couple horses. I'm not, don't quote me word for word on this. He gives him a slave, and he gives him a tablet that inscribed on it is the 5 rules of gold. And this kid, so he gets sent off with this stuff, and he ends up in this town, and he gets hooked up with these tricksters, and he's trying to like use the money and and he's not following the 5 rules. And one of the rules that stuck with me on that tablet is the first one, which is pay yourself first. And so what he does is say you make $100, you pay yourself $10 first. You save that $10. and then you start to learn, and there's other things, but we don't need to get into that right now. So this kid goes out, he loses all the money, he loses the slave, he loses the horses, he don't have shit. He's got this rock, right? Carved in these 5 rules, and he memorizes these 5 rules, and then he loses the rock or sells it or whatever. And then he starts applying these 5 rules and starts surrounding himself with successful individuals. That's one of the rules. Surround yourself with people who know how to make money, right? Save money first. I can't remember every rule, but he basically goes through this 10-year time period, and he learns how to make money and by following these 5 rules that his father gave him. But he had more than what his father started with in the beginning, and he lost it all. And then he has to follow the rules in which his father and the things that he instilled in him, right? And so then he goes back 10 years later, and he's got 3 bags of gold. He replaces the 1 bag of Babylonian gold with whatever gold that he got, and then he gives 2 more to be like, look, this replaces the tablet and the slave and the horses and blah, 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 blah. And I think that's very important. And I think that we miss that. I think that we get so stuck sometimes in maybe we didn't grow up the greatest, or we grew up okay, and this is not me hating on my parents or anything like that. You know what I mean? If I wasn't raised the way that I was, I do not believe I would be where I am today. And in my honest opinion, I think that my parents did a lot of good and they did a lot of bad, and I picked and chose what I thought was good and what was bad. So this is not me at all hating on what my parents did. It's just a fact. And whether they get upset with it or not, it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's just the truth. So, but I think if we, in being successful or quote unquote, rich or wealthy, right? Fuck money, but I'm just saying, we're inherently better than you just said. You said yourself, you and your wife have exceeded what both of your parents and your wife's parents thought that you could become. You guys have exceeded that. Now, in saying that, if we can continue to remember that, hey, the reason we are where we are today is because we've had problems and we went through hard times, you need to put your kids through hard times. Now, I'm not saying that they need to be broke or they need, you know what I mean? Big ditches or anything like that. But don't give them the keys to the castle. You know what I mean? Make them earn the keys to the castle. Because I think the worst thing that you can do for a young man is take that away from him. That's my honest opinion. And like I say, I'm not a father. We're working on it. I got my whole own problems with that, right? But
that's 100% true.
I think that's huge. And I think that's how you break that cycle. That cycle and all those, the hard work, all that things I said, that's a cycle. Mm-hmm. But to break that cycle, you have to make a change. You have to realize, hey, this is how I got here, and this is the reason I am where I am, because I went through hard times. So now you need to put your son through hard times. Mm-hmm. And then imagine if 3 or 4 generations does that, imagine what that can do. Imagine the individuals that those people can help.
How the country would look like.
Imagine what the whole country would look like if you guys decided, hey, I'm not just going to I'm not going to turn my kid into a spoiled, rotten, fucking rich kid. You know what I mean? Make them little motherfuckers earn it, because that's important. That you enable your children, because you're like, oh, well, I had a hard life, and then I don't want my kids to go through that, and blah. Fuck that. Make them little motherfuckers work for it, because they're gonna. You respect something so much more when you earn it versus when it's given to you. It's just a fact.
100%.
You know,
building your car versus having a new one given to you, right?
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Like, you've got sweat and tears in this thing. You don't want to wreck it. Mm-hmm. It's old as shit, but you scratch it like son of a bitch.
Yeah. My leaky ass Mustang out there.
Yeah. First, so door dings your new car. That sucks when you go back in it.
Whatever.
It was given to you. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. You don't care.
I agree.
And I see so many people in today's society do that, and they just keep enabling. Well, what happens when you die? You know what I mean? What happens when you haven't taught your kid shit? He hasn't had to work for anything, and now you die, and all your money's fucking gone, and now he's fucked.
No skills, no life skills.
Yes, no skills. He hasn't had to go through a struggle. He can't provide for anybody. He can't be a fucking man.
Yeah.
So, and you did that.
Yeah.
That's your own fault. Not saying you,
Right.
but you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
You as the father and,
Oh, yeah.
and enabling your kid to, be this spoiled, rotten fucking brat, you have now enabled your son or daughter or whatever to not do anything. And now when you pass and they don't fucking have anything, now they're fucked.
It's a simple thing. It's changing a spare tire. Like, you don't teach your kid how to do that. Are they going to know how to do that?
No.
And they go drive off and they're calling daddy or whoever.
Exactly. What are
Racking
they
up a
gonna do?
$300 tow bill real
Yeah.
quick. Shit, dude. Like, that's a 5-minute job.
And now if you have a son, right? And they have a son, what are they going to teach their son? So now, when you stand and look in the mirror, that question I asked earlier, and you go, am I a proud man? Am I a wealthy man? Did I teach my son things to do? And if you go back to the beginning of time,
Same question's always been asked.
it's the same question. What were humans put on fucking earth to do? Recreate. You know what I mean? A man is a man, and a woman is a woman.
Yeah.
And a man,
multiply.
and they fuck, and now children, and we want to create a lineage and all these things. So if you want to create this lineage and create this life, why would you set your own children up for failure? Why would you set your grandkids up for failure? Because that's exactly the opposite of what you're trying to do.
Correct. I feel like people who do that probably never grew up with any like morals like that.
Okay.
So like with me, I grew up with those morals. My dad, hardworking guy. He didn't have a dad, so he wanted to be a good dad.
Yeah.
And then he pushed that on me. I'm actually like pretty good compared to a lot of other people I've seen.
Huh?
Like that had that situation, because typically, like if you look at it in a different way, my dad could have been like, oh, I never had a dad, I'm just gonna
Be a piece of shit.
be a piece of shit. I never got taught anything. But he did the exact opposite because life kind of pushed him to do that. And then I got those morals. My little brother has those morals. My sister's got those morals, and we're pushing those onto our children. Like I'm the only one with a child right now, but still, we're going to be pushing all that through. But in my same family, we have some fuck-ups.
Yeah.
and,
Inevitable, but
and,
still.
every family's got fuck-ups.
Oh, definitely. Nobody's
And,
perfect.
Yeah, and those morals go a long way.
Definitely.
Just like my first car, I have to go half-sin with my dad, with my mom. I have other family that they got the car handed to them. Car never got an oil change. Car never, they didn't care about it.
Mm-hmm.
Car's destroyed. They're still driving it around, but it's completely destroyed, not worth anything now.
Yeah.
I'm driving around my old beat up Volkswagen that I freaking took care of because I put the money, I put the time,
Love.
Love, care, blood,
sweat,
tears.
Yeah.
You earned it.
Yeah.
And you still have it.
But a little bit of morals goes a long way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Still in those new kids and future generations.
Mhm.
What can that actually? What can that cause?
What can that cause?
That's domino effect. Exactly what you're saying.
And if that's what you're trying to do, right? And I believe
Mm-hmm.
you are trying to be better than your parents were, so your kids can be better off.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if the whole goal is to make your children better than you, their children better than them, and their children better than them, why would you take that away from them? You set them up for failure by making it too easy. Life is not easy.
Oh, yeah.
And again, we talked about this stuff with some of our other guests. 9 years he's been working in the real estate game, and he's doing great. You know what I mean? But he's not where he wants to be.
Yeah.
This shit takes years. You guys gotta get off the fucking internet and stop thinking that we're gonna become rich overnight because we fucking invested in Bitcoin or fucking Dogecoin or some fucking bullshit fucking coin.
Playing the lottery.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but you can really do whatever the fuck it is that you want to do, but you gotta go out and fucking do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are spoiled, rotten fucking shit, and you see this fucking video, pull your head out of your ass. You know what I mean? Fucking get to work. Tell your dad, hey, I don't want your fucking money. I want to go fucking get it on my own. Try it. Fucking try it and tell me how you fucking feel. And I guarantee you, if you go out and bust your fucking ass and earn something, you're gonna treat that thing like it really means something to you.
And it does, yeah. It's everything.
And don't look at life like you're a victim either.
No.
I feel like that's a big one.
Yep, I agree with that. You're not a victim to shit.
No.
Today's world, practically.
Yeah.
That's all you see on the news and everything else.
Yeah.
You gotta
Mhm.
work around that.
If you have a problem, look in the fucking mirror. That's whose fault it is. It's that simple.
And then do something about it.
And then do something about it.
Something about
Go
it.
take those steps like you're saying.
Yeah.
Read those books. Put some time into yourself.
Put some effort in. Pay yourself first.
Yep.
You mean one rule that I follow, right? So I pay myself first, always. And in the beginning, obviously, it's not a lot of money. But what I try to tell individuals is when you're trying to do something, so first thing you need to come up with a plan. You need to come up with an idea of whatever it is that you want to do. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to tell you right now, you can make money doing anything. So you need to come up with an idea, whatever the fuck it is. So you come up with an idea, and then you create a plan, and then you start applying that plan, right? Now, if you need money to make this plan happen, okay, there are ways to do that, and we will get into that later on. I could talk about this forever, but start saving money and start researching whatever it is that you want to do, because it's free to research. It's free to read a book, or if it's not free to read a book, if you pay yourself 10% first, you can afford to buy a fucking book. You can buy a paperback book for like $3. You mean on whatever it is that you want to learn. Even in today's market, even today's society where it's all fucked up, I think the most I've spent on a book maybe like $12, and that's like a fucking 1,000-page book or 1,500-page book. But whatever it is that you want to learn about, study it and learn it, and then save the money. And then once you've saved, and it takes time. This is years. I'm not talking, oh, I want to fucking be a ballerina, and I'm just gonna start researching ballet, and now all of a sudden, 6 weeks from now, I'm fucking him. You know what I mean? They don't work that way. It's years. I'm telling you to do this over years. And if you start young, if you start in your 20s, by the time you get to our age and you're in your 30s, you could be, the things that you could achieve are unimaginable. And you're gonna love every second of it because you earned it. It wasn't handed to you. So I think that's something that's important, you know what I mean? And I think I want to try to have that conversation with more people on here, because everybody on here is trying to be better for their children so their children can live a better life than them, but they forget the fact that the reason you're living the life that you live is because you went through some struggle.
Right.
Because if you give it all to them, they don't know what to do when struggle comes.
Yeah.
And then they just fall on their face, and then they have children, and then it just repeats the fucking cycle. It's all downhill.
Exactly.
I think there's a statistic. I don't know the numbers for sure, but I'm pretty confident it's like 80-some-odd%. And you can fact check me and I could be wrong, but I know that can you look, okay, see if you can look this up, Connor, so I can give them an answer. But I think it's like 80-some-odd% of rich families today come from broke people. So that's one thing. And another statistic is it's usually 3 generations. So the first generation makes the money, the second generation enjoys the money, and the third generation doesn't they're fucked. They have to start back over.
Start zero.
So we'll come back to that. We'll hopefully Connor can get us some information on some of that, to get you some real-time numbers. But I'm pretty sure like I think it's 83%. For some reason that number's sticking in my head. 83% of millionaires in the world today came from nothing.
Self-made.
Yeah.
Self-made millionaires. And in 3 generations it's gone. And I've seen it happen in my lifetime. I've watched it happen.
I've got a lot of friends with a lot of money.
Yep.
And they don't got it no more.
Exactly.
They're at my car lot.
Yeah, they fuck it up. You know what I mean? They fuck it up because they don't know.
It's a lot easier to make money than it is to save money, and that's another thing people gotta learn.
Yep. Don't worry about that's huge. I'm so glad you brought that up. Stop worrying about how do I save more money and worry about how do I make more fucking money. If you spend as much time as you do going, oh well, if I don't eat this and I cut cigarettes out and I don't do this and well, I don't really go to the gym all that much, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut that bill, and well, we don't really watch Hulu, so let's cut this $8 bill. You spend all this time and all this stress to save a couple $100. Fuck that. You know what I mean? Spend all that time and figure out how to make more fucking money. Connor, what you got? It's 80%.
Ooh, self-made millionaires. Billion or million?
Million.
Gotcha.
I don't know about billionaires.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about the term self-made?
I think it's bullshit.
Self-made?
Self-made.
That's what you're saying. 80% of the millionaires are, right?
They're not self-made.
What would you call them? Self-built?
They put the work in.
Sure.
No, they most definitely put the work in. But they did exactly what we're doing here.
Okay.
You had mentors. You got help. You got
Surround
information
yourself.
from somebody.
Yeah, you were just talking a while ago. If you're going to go try to be something you want to be, go surround yourself with those people, and it's going to happen that much quicker rather than going trying to do it on your own.
Yeah.
You go ask the right questions and get around the right people.
Exactly. I think self-made is bullshit.
Okay.
I believe, I know I busted my fucking ass to get where I am. Most definitely. But I've had lots of help along the way. Not money, not fuck, you know what I mean? I had advice.
Right.
I've got, okay, if you read a fucking book, that's advice. That's help. That's not self-made. You took something from somebody who gave you some sort of information, whether you talked to them, whether you read it in a book, doesn't matter. I didn't just wake up one day and know how to cut hair. You didn't just wake up and know how to sell shit. You know what I mean? You didn't just wake up and know how to be a real estate agent.
Even if you have the best invention in the world, you still got help someone patenting it, doing this, doing
you get
that.
help. Self-made is bullshit. And anybody that disagrees with that, fuck you. I'm serious though. You know what I mean? Nobody gives credit where credit's due anymore. When this thing blows up and the Pawncast is known all over the fucking world, it's going to be because of people like Michael. It's going to be because Hermes, I pitched him a fucking idea and was like, hey, look at this. It's going to be because Connor was fucking willing to sit here and record us for free. You know what I mean? It's going to be because Emilio is willing to fucking help us work on graphic designs. It's because I have an embroidery machine and I can make merch and we can make hats. This is stuff, like you guys keep seeing these pieces of paper, this is ideas. Like you guys are seeing it happen on each show. Every time we mess with something, each one of these is different. Every time we put these hats up here, it's something different. And at some point, we're going to ask for your guys' advice. You know, do you like this hat? Do you like this hat? Do you like this design? Do you like that design? Do you like this colorway? You get help from everybody. So self-made is bullshit. It's a fucking crock of shit. That's how I feel. You ask me how I feel, but that's how I feel about it.
That's right. You're explaining it very well, although some people may perceive it as self-made.
Yeah.
In reality, if you broke it down 100%, it's all the little things that you're talking about that add up to what someone might call
Self-made.
self-made, which
Not a thing.
right.
Nobody, not a single Einstein, not a single motherfucker on the face of the earth. That motherfucker read all kinds of shit to try to figure something out. He didn't just come up with it. You know, and even if you do come up with a great idea, I came up with a great idea, the Pawncast. In talking to small business owners and entrepreneurs and diving into their minds and having these conversations. But I couldn't do it without people. I couldn't do it without Hermes. I couldn't do it without Connor. I couldn't do it without Amelia. I couldn't do it without you, Michael.
And you've been doing your own research on the back end as well.
Exactly.
Sure.
And this is
What
something,
works.
this concept, and I've had this conversation with Connor as we're working on editing videos and all these things. This has been something for years. Like, this is new, and Hermes, we talked about it. You're like, dude, this thing's kind of, I mean, we're doing it.
Yep.
Like, this is week 5.
I think so. Yeah.
Out there.
I think it's week 5, and this is our 3rd interview, actually interviewing somebody, and we have merchandise now, and we have this, and we have a camera, and I just sold an RV, so we're going to take some of that money, and we're going to buy some more camera equipment, and so it's happening relatively fast from the concept of I'm going to pitch it to Hermes and Connor and Emilio, and we're going to try and make it happen. Sure, 5 weeks is happening relatively fast, but the Pawncast, or this concept of how do I help individuals, has been something that I've been working on for 10 plus fucking years. Like, I have videos of me standing in that corner when there was a barber chair over there going, hey guys, I'm going to call this Motivation Mondays, and I'm going to try to help you guys become a successful barber, or I'm going to take you along my journey and show you, you know what I mean, here I am in my garage, and I'm going to barber school, and blah, 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 I don't have any fucking money, I don't fucking work anymore, you know what I mean, like, and these are the things that I've done in order to get here. Like, I've been trying to figure out, how can I fucking help individuals better their lives for fucking years? And I believe that this thing is going to make me a multi-billionaire, not because I care about fucking money, because I care about helping individuals, and this is something that I truly believe in, and I've truly been trying to create for years. And I'm not, you could, I guess, if you're one of those individuals that says I'm self-made, I guess I fall under the category of I'm self-made, but I don't believe in it, because everybody's helped me. Every client I talk to, my network, every individual I talk to, every conversation I have, this is why this is easy for me. Having these conversations and asking you these questions and going into depth, I've asked myself a million times. I've asked people a million fucking times. Like, I've been practicing for this for fucking years.
Sure.
So I worked really fucking hard to make this happen. And now it's happening so fast that we're just like, holy shit, You know what I mean? To the outside world, and when this thing starts blowing up and we go viral and it's this huge fucking thing, you know what I mean? It's like, holy shit, these guys came out of nowhere. No, we didn't come out of nowhere. This is years. This is 10 years in the fucking making at least.
Yep.
Your real estate business, 10 years in the business, in making at least. How long has the car lot been a thing?
5 years.
5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Years. This ain't months.
Yeah.
Connor is brand new. Connor's trying to, our social media guy, which you guys don't really see, I think you'll see him in like the first and second video of us talking about how we're going to create this thing, how he got here. And again, quote unquote, lucky. You're not fucking lucky. You put yourselves in these situations. Connor came and got a haircut with me, told me he wanted to be a photographer, and I'm not going to go too far into this because I want to interview him at some point. Told me he wanted to be a photographer, offered to come shoot some free pictures at my barbershop to help promote my business, and he offered it for free. So you know what I did? I said, damn, this kid really fucking wants it. Let me offer him an opportunity, and now here he is. And now he's going to be a part of something that creates, it's going to help millions upon millions of people over a long period of time. I don't know how long he's been, shooting photography. I don't know how long he's been into it. But look at, and some people it does happen faster than others. But at the end of the day, you still have to put the work in. I'm not going to give this kid fucking millions of dollars right out of the game. I'm going to make his ass fucking work for it. So he's sitting here recording, looking shit up on the fucking computer for fucking free. He's got to go through the struggle. That's how it works. I'd be doing, just like you'd be doing your kids a disservice to fucking give them everything. I treat everybody the same way. Like, we all got to fucking earn it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because you're just fucking somebody to give it to them easily.
Long run, definitely.
And nobody's self-made.
Nobody's self-made.
I guess that's my answer. Self-made is bullshit than anything.
Back to the questions.
All right.
Next question. Last question.
All right.
All right. So I think you do it all over again with the knowledge you have now. Would you change anything?
All my knowledge right now.
Mm-hmm.
All my decisions I've ever made.
Everything. You're, 21 right now. You got it all. You time travel.
And you have the knowledge you have right now. We could do it differently.
I would have probably taken the years of the wasted time of just being a cop and doing the CEO, DO, whatever, and put that into real estate. I wouldn't have been as successful initially,
Yeah.
If I had all the knowledge I have now, shit, I would have been. I'd be 15, 20 years into this. Not quite, but damn, a solid, it would add another 5 years. So I'd say, yeah, I would definitely take my knowledge and apply that to the time wasted just spinning my tires in the mud, waiting to get some traction to get what I want out of life. And I think that, yeah, I definitely would.
So you take a leap.
I take the leap, yeah. I mean, that's what, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty,
That's what you know, right? That's the knowledge that you know
correct.
now,
So
right?
there's a phrase I always like to say and tell young people, turning decades into days. Like I've done that through some of my real estate career and apply it, but if you can take all that book-wise, knowledge-wise, and you can apply that sooner than later in your life, even if I had 2 other businesses in that meanwhile that failed before I could start real estate, you're still failing forward.
Yeah.
I feel, unless you totally just crumble yourself.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anything you do, all those little no's and those declines and those things that cripple you a little bit, they're only going to make you stronger moving forward into that next adventure, that next business. So I would definitely take all that knowledge and apply it to that.
And I think at least what I take from that, I think is big, and then you guys can take from this as well, is take the leap.
Yeah.
Stop being scared. I read a thing that was interesting the other day, and it has to do with this. When somebody's seeking mentorship, and I don't know any numbers, I just read this, I didn't fact check it, but it makes sense to me because this is how my brain works as well. So a lot of the time when we're studying something, we're trying to learn something, right? We gain a lot of information. Okay, we learn so many things, and we're like, okay, I know this, I think I know this, I think I know this, and right? But when you seek mentorship, I think what you're really seeking is some sort of reassurance that all this information that you know is correct.
Makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think that there's definitely things that you can learn from a mentor. Like there's things that you don't know. There's avenues that they did that you might think would work that don't work. So I mean, definitely they help you navigate the waters. We'll say, right? But I think one of the big things that people are searching for is some sort of reassurance. You know what I mean? Like when you bring up an idea to somebody
Sure.
and you think it's a good idea or whatever, and you put it out there into the universe and you believe it can work, you start asking people.
Right.
So you're searching for like reassurance.
Validation.
You're searching for validation. Like,
Yeah.
does this sound like it could work?
Right.
Which is what we did with the
And
podcast.
it's kind of walking and then jogging and then running versus just hit the ground running. You might stumble and fall, you know, and then have to start back over again. That's what I'm
Exactly.
kind of getting at.
Or
So yeah,
again-
taking that mentorship into account, that
Yeah.
definitely speeds that process up.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you do it with others that are like-minded. It's going to definitely lead you to that
There you
watering
go.
hole a lot quicker.
Definitely.
Hell
And like
yeah.
what he was saying, turning decades into days.
That's dope.
And you talk to the right mentor. Like,
One, like yeah, Scott,
You know?
Scott was mine on that case for sure.
Yeah.
Getting that going, and it's that knowledge is that you surround yourself with those people that are already participating at that level. It's like, holy shit, like,
They're
you gotta
already
catch
doing
up,
it,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. And you gotta pick the breadcrumbs up what they're leaving behind, and you gotta still work hard at it, no doubt. But it's gonna definitely, it's better than trying to do it yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Self-made, you know.
Self-made. Bullshit.
Yeah, you can go out there and sit in the hamster wheel all day long and just run and not get anywhere. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people miss that. I think that's very important. You know what I mean? I think it's awesome. And I believe, at least in my opinion, I believe everybody that we get to interview on the show, Hermes, is going to have the same ideologies because we're interviewing small business owners.
Yeah, that's it.
And I want to touch on this for a second and kind of explain why I believe this works as well as it does.
Sure.
Or it's going to work as well as I believe it's going to work. A lot of podcasts. So when you think of a business, Hermes, your car dealership, right? Before you opened the car dealership, what did you do? I'm just curious.
I worked at a kitchen at the Grand Canyon.
Okay, not so much that. More in the sense of like before you were like, I'll just ask. It'll be easier. Did you research any car dealerships before you did that?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
That's very interesting.
No.
Did you flip any cars?
I flipped cars.
So you flipped cars, so you already have a little bit of knowledge about it.
Wheeling and dealing.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is something that I've learned, and maybe you just haven't gone through it in your story yet, right? Any successful business, any business, it doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So what I found is you and figure out how to do it better.
Yeah.
So for example, let's say I open a car sale or a car lot right across the street from yours. I'm gonna go do all the research on your car lot. And I'm going to figure out what you're doing wrong or what I believe you're doing wrong, figure out how to do it better, and then I'm going to sell cars across the street from you and I will be busier. Because I'll figure out what flaws that you're doing in your business to do it better. And I will sell more cars than you right across the street from you. And you're going to go, man, what is he doing? Like, what the fuck?
You're also going to take what he was doing right though and say,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
those are good foundation steps
Exactly.
there. But you're lacking over here. I'm going to stack those on top and just start going.
And that's how you grow. That's like, it's a competition. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. You know what I mean? So
you can apply that to anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Literally anything. Relationship, business, friendships, anything. Cars, racing.
Even entrepreneurship. Like if you're in a business where you got an opportunity to move up, like my old man did, for example, and he took it and put himself in the positions and met with the right people, you can still do it, you know, and have a better idea and have that be a little more creative, whatever it is.
You just got to figure out. It's that simple. People make it way too difficult.
Oh yeah.
All you have to do is go, look it. I just need to do this better than this individual, and it will work.
It's scary though, man.
It is scary. It's fucking hard.
Taking that jump, right? Yeah, a lot of people aren't willing to do it, dude. Like,
No, definitely not. And the podcast, you know what I mean? When I tell you guys I've spent years coming up with this, I've read books, so I take all the knowledge that I've learned from books and all the things that I disagreed in the books and all the things that I agreed in the books, and I look at podcasts and I look at all these things and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm not saying I've watched every podcast in the world. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's podcasts that are doing it, but I believe this is going to work as well as I believe it will work because we're interviewing small business owners. And a small business owner is more relatable than fucking Elon Musk, Donald Trump, fucking Andrew Tate, all these big fucking names. They all have the same stories that we do, but they're further along in their journey or in their game, right?
They couldn't even think back that far, more than likely. I'm sure they could, the little breadcrumbs that started off, but they're living in this. They're already there.
They're already on that level. They're at the upper echelon of fucking men, right? So But we interview, I mean, sure, are we successful in our own right? Yes. Do I work at Burger King? No. Have I worked at Burger King? Yes. Can I remember what it's like to work there? Most definitely. I will never forget where I fucking came from, right? But you're more relatable to somebody that, so your story and your upbringing, somebody can watch that and go, man, like, oh wow, I didn't know it took 2 weeks to become, it took a month. 2 weeks for school and another 2 weeks for whatever. And then there's these fees and
Yeah.
Well shit, I could become a real estate agent.
Sure.
How did you start your car lot? Oh, you were flipping cars, and you decided, damn, hey, I'm making some fucking money. Let's open a car dealership. You know what I mean?
100%.
Now I own a rental company. You know what I mean? Now we rent Priuses, and you have Matt. You know what I mean? Who's you know what I mean? Hey,
That was my mentor.
there's your mentor for that. You know what I mean?
It's good.
Like,
Absolutely.
and I think that's huge. You know? I think that's huge. I think with that, dude, I mean, I think we can close it up. I guess you want to ask? You want me to ask?
I'll let you ask.
Let me ask. Okay, so after having these conversations, man, let's go back to the first question.
All right.
If you could compare yourself to a piece on the chessboard, what piece would you be?
Although I still agree with some of my things, a pawn. You know, it really is. You're right. If you really take into account the small moves, I'd say only taking like 2.5 moves across, not even, like 1.5 to 2 moves across the board. And I didn't just jet across the board. I want to be that guy, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But taking into realistic surroundings and things that have happened in the last 9 years of my business. Now, talking what we're thinking, am I going to be able to speed that up and move along a little quicker? More than likely.
Yeah.
But yes, I
You're
agree.
still a pawn.
I'm kind of a pawn. Yeah. All pawns. All little pawns.
We're all little pawns,
For now.
and there's nothing
For
wrong
now.
with that.
Nope.
I think it's a good thing. It's literally the only piece on the board that can upgrade.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, this is how I look at it, right? So you get to the end of the board, you upgrade, and you decide, okay, let's say you're the queen because it's the most powerful piece on the
You
board.
know you're going to start another business.
You're gonna start another fucking business,
Yeah,
and you're gonna start over.
Yeah, it's true.
Especially once you know how to do it, it's just like, oh, I can make more money.
Yeah. Or I can help more individuals, whatever it is that's driving you.
Yeah.
Help
You got that when you're to that point where you can not worry about the money, drive the car you want, do what you want, whatever. But then you can watch someone else grow their family into something beautiful or whatever they want, whatever they envision. That's where your worth comes in.
Yep, and that's
And
when you look in the
over
mirror.
and say, "Fuck yeah,
Yeah,
that's
fuck the
good.
money. I'm looking
I'm
in the
sleeping
mirror.
good tonight."
Yeah,
like
yeah.
really good.
I helped 100 million people
Yep.
change their fucking lives
Whatever it is.
for the better.
Fitness, car sales, real estate, self-development, whatever.
Doesn't matter what it is. And we live in a small town. There's, I don't know, 40,000 people here. I have a very large network. And what's even better, this is something for you guys to understand. So I do not know Scott Landers, but Michael knows Scott Landers. And I'll bet you money if Scott Landers watches this particular interview and we pitch it to him with this interview, Scott Landers is going to be willing to come on the show. And that's using your network.
Exactly.
That's pursuing something. I want Scott Landers on the show. I got to adapt and overcome and figure out how to make it happen. I got to prove to him, you know, we're about wealth and happiness and growth, and
For the people.
we're for the people,
Yep.
and we're going to use our network to get there. And then he's going to want to come on the show because he wants to help people.
And typically people who have made it, not all of them, but they're willing to share some.
Oh yeah, they got some valuable information.
They got
They got
some
a pocket
information.
full of gold, man.
Yeah.
Most
They want
definitely.
to give some out.
It's just, and you know what? It's money is just a tool.
Sure.
If you guys can get past that and just realize that money is just a tool and helping individuals is really where the real wealth is at. I listened to a podcast. It's called So Money. I don't want to butcher her name, so I'm not going to say it. But the podcast is So Money. And she asked a question, what is your so money? What was your so money moment? And basically, she kind of explains the question in, at what point did you really start feeling successful? When did things really start clicking? And she interviews a lot of like higher end individuals, right? Authors, blah, 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 blah. People who are in the upper echelons or whatever they are, right? And every single one of them that I have listened to thus far says when I stopped worrying about money and myself and started worrying about how can I help other individuals. And I took that to heart. And that's what the pawn mentality is. And that's what the Pawncast represents. That's what this podcast is. And that's why we call it the Pawncast. And the story behind the pawn and constantly hustling and grinding. That's why that's one of our deals. You know what I mean? The Pawncast. Like, I took that and realized like and then I applied that to my life when I started my barbershop. What was I trying to do? I was trying to create a space in which people could come and be comfortable and it was clean and da 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 da. And I looked at the other barbershops in town, and I'm not hating, but I'm just saying I figured out a way to do it better.
Yep.
And then I earned #1 barbershop in our town 2 years in a row. My first year in business, I earned the #1 barbershop in town. Not because I'm better than anybody, not because, you know, only because I try to just do business better. I try to figure out what the next move is.
Good.
Good. So yeah, man, that's kind of the premise of the Pawn mentality, and I think it's awesome that you're open-minded and
I look forward to being back, man. I mean, phenomenal.
I can't wait. 5 years.
It's gonna be a big difference. I'm gonna have a lot going on in my life in 5 years, and I hope it's very. I know it'll be very. I'll have a lot going on real estate wise and in my family life too, so that'll be good. Be good to share.
And our goal, just so you guys know, another thing, we're gonna create a. I'm really bad with technology. Discord. We're gonna create a Discord, and what I would like to try to do. I don't know exactly how this is gonna work, so this is all something we're working on. We want to sign you guys up for free.
Gotcha.
The guys who come in and interview, we want to sign you up for free. And then we're gonna charge a fee, like 40, 50 bucks, I don't know, to sign up for the Discord as a viewer. Okay? So the Pawncast and all this is all free. All this information that you guys get is all free. Like with this, because we're trying to help you out. But any questions that we missed that you would like to ask Michael, you're going to sign up for the Discord, and you'll be able to hopefully, and I don't know, you know, this is up to these people if they want to do it or not. But it's all in building a network, right? And now you can ask, you know, you can get people who are trying to do this and trying to do this. And the only reason I want to charge a fee for that is because I've helped so many individuals and I've tried to give so much advice over my time that I'm not trying to waste your time. Because what I've realized is when you give a lot of things for free, it goes in one ear and out the other. So I don't want to have when you spend a little bit of money, you have some skin invested in the game. And I'm not saying we're going to be charging tens of thousands of dollars to get in on this fucking thing. You know what I mean? We're talking small money here because we're really trying to help. All we want to do is, if you're willing to pay, maybe you're willing to listen. I mean, if I spent 50 bucks and I want to hear, I got a question from Michael, and now Michael gets a percentage of X amount of individuals that he fucking helped out or something. You know what I mean? A piece, like, so now we're putting money in your pocket, and we're putting knowledge in other people, and everybody gets to eat.
Yep.
That's kind of the plan and how I think it's going to work. I would love to be able to create a Discord for free, but I already know people are fucking lazy and they're going to waste your time.
Yeah.
I want you to deal with people who are actually actively wanting to try to become something, because then we can bring them on and we can help them eat, and they won't worry about that 40 or 50 bucks because now they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars because they were able to have access to da da da. Michael starts a real estate team and we want to go look at Keller Williams is huge, but we want to make Buchanan Real Estate, or what? I didn't even ask you that. Plug your business.
No, that was it. Yeah, Michael Buchanan Real Estate.
Michael Buchanan Real Estate.
That's it, man.
We want to make Michael Buchanan Real Estate this giant corporation in which all of you listeners can hop on and be like, hey, I want to start. And we saw how he started and boo, 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 woo, 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 woo. And now we've recorded the whole thing. You guys are seeing him when he's a small business owner. Elon Musk, all these people are all small business owners, and now they're worth all these millions upon billions of fucking dollars, but they all started somewhere, right? And now we're more relatable because we're still in this stage, and you guys can get in that stage as well. So that's the Pawn mentality. That's the Pawncast. Thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you on the next one. I appreciate you, Michael. Thank you very much, brother.
Pleasure, brother. Thank you.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. All right, dude. So
Okay.
next one.
See you next week.